Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Lights Camera Discussion Podcast. We are back with our special episode today, and it's the first part of our Oscars episode. And as we were talking about beforehand, this is the third time that we've done this, which is actually insane. The first two times were on my YouTube. It was done on Twitch, and I put it up on my YouTube, so you can go back and watch it if you wish. But they were like what we're saying, like 5 hours. 6 hours long, I think it was. So, if you got the time, feel free. But yes, today we're going to be doing it in two parts. We're going to be going through this this time. I think we're going through the first part is going to be cinematography, visual effects, animated picture, worst picture, best supporting actress, and best supporting actor. Guys, are we excited for the podcast episode ahead?
Can't wait.
Very much so. Always feeling underprepared, but good to go.
I think it's good as well because this is why we do this, because we talk about films and we haven't been I know and we haven't been able to talk about, like, we've tried our best to sort of keep it quiet how we feel about them and stuff. So I'm excited to see.
I mean, we all follow each other on Letterboxd, but yeah, sure.
I was going to say, if you do have Letterboxd, you'll know basically all of our opinions, but yeah, it is what it is.
We've
But
gotten
yes,
to the nitty-gritty of it.
exactly.
And I've had a couple of rants on stream about the worst picture, being like, I've never made such a bad decision in my life. I don't know if I proposed it or if I agreed to it. I can't remember, but yeah.
I will put my hands up. I proposed doing it as a bit of something different, so
Your
I do
fault.
apologize. But we will get into that halfway through today's episode. Well, just over halfway through. So guys, shall we get going with this? Shall we get started? Let's do it.
Yep, good to
Okay,
go.
right. So we are starting off with the best cinematography category. So I'll just quickly run through the nominations. So we've got El Conde, we've got Killers of the Flower Moon, we've got Oppenheimer, Maestro, and Poor Things. So first of all, El Conde, just to give you a wee touch on what it's about. It's Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet is a 250-year-old vampire. Now tired of his life, he wants to die at last after disgrace and family crises he has caused. So again, obviously we're going to try and keep it specific to the category, which is cinematography, but because obviously we're not going to be talking about this in any other ones, we can kind of veer off a bit, I suppose, as well, if we so wish. So yes, shall we get started? Let's go with Collie. Do you want to get started on cinematography with El Conde?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, overall thoughts on the film, I enjoyed it as much as a foreign language film can really engage with me unless it's got a good story. I didn't think the story was that great. I mean, this is the only time we're going to talk about it. I didn't think the story was that good, but I must say I think it's a deserving nominee in this category. There's the specific kind of sequence where it's like the ranch or whatever, and there's the flying vampire like section and stuff like that. I thought that was really, really cool. There's a good little bit on YouTube with the cinematographer, like about behind the scenes about how they shot that and stuff. So yeah, like I said, really, really well shot film. Overall, didn't love the film, but it looked really, really good.
Yep. Todd?
Yeah, same. I was excited for it. It was on a lot of sort of underrated horror lists of the year and all that kind of thing. So I was bang up for it. Yeah, as a film, it's not something I'll be watching again. And I think the thing that drew me in most was how it looked. Not just the cinematography was good. Again, like, it's deserving, but it was also the style of it. I thought the sort of it's black and white, but there's that sort of like that sheen to it. Yeah, I can't really expand on anything. Like, from memory, just thinking about it now, the flight was phenomenal. Like, the way that looks and how smooth that was. But it's definitely, like, looking at the other nominees, and I don't want to compare the entire time, but looking at the other nominees, I do think it's the weakest of the cinematography.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's one of those that, like, I definitely find it hard to disagree with whatever you guys has just said there. I know, Todd, that you had said before that it was on your list even before the Oscars, wasn't it? I think it was something that you'd potentially been wanting to watch before, and I completely agree. I think story wise, yeah, it's kind of tough going. I believe it's quite a satire on like the real life stuff because Pinochet was an actual dictator, I believe. So I think going from reading reviews and stuff that it's one of those that if you know quite a bit about it or are Chilean or something, then it maybe hits a bit closer to home sort of thing. But story for me was yeah a bit weird. But yeah, cinematography I thought was absolutely stunning. Like you say, there's even in the trailer that we have for this episode, for the Oscar episode, there's a shot of him flying off with his little cape flapping and stuff. It looks insane. I thought it was really wonderfully shot, and even things like the where they made the smoothies of like the blood and stuff, like it just looked incredible. I thought so. Yeah, I completely agree. A worthy nominee.
Yeah. Just to touch on one thing there when you're saying about the Pinochet stuff and it being based on it, I think a couple of his other films are actually centered around it as well. There's one called No, which I might actually consider checking out because I enjoyed the film. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't love it or whatever, and I won't rush back to watch it. But there's one called No, and then I can't remember what the other one is, but there's Tony Manero and Postmortem. They're apparently an unintentional trilogy about Pinochet's dictatorship, and obviously this one is a fourth one, essentially after the fact. It's just on his wiki a page about it. So I might consider checking them out at some point just to kind of see, and then maybe dig a bit more into because like who doesn't love reading up on a good old dictator and seeing what they're up to and stuff like that. So from a kind of political kind of interest standpoint, I'd maybe consider checking it. But the only kind of standout for me when I'm looking at his name's Edward Lackman, the cinematographer. He did Dark Waters a couple of years ago with Mark Ruffalo, which was kind of obviously a completely different film to this. But that was still a well shot film, I thought, at the time, and thinking about back on it now, and then it's all the way back to something like Erin Brockovich was one of his big ones in 2000 and that. So definitely a cinematographer with a bit of pedigree behind him. He does look like a bit like a vampire, by the way. If you watch that video that I was talking about behind the scenes, he's got like a black kind of gangster looking hat, and he's got big sideburns and sunglasses on. He looks like a one cool dude, but he might actually be an IRL vampire. So yeah,
it's a biography maybe then.
Possibly, or maybe he just drew on some, like he's like, I wonder what I look like when I'm flying about, and then that's where he got inspired. So yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Okay, so the next one on the cinematography nominees is Killers of Flower Moon. So, real love crosses paths with unspeakable betrayal as Molly Burkhart, a member of the Osage Nation, tries to save her community from a spree of murders fueled by oil and greed. Now, obviously, Killers of Flower Moon is going to be one that we're going to be talking about a fair bit throughout these two episodes, these two parts. So should maybe try and kind of keep this down the cinematography road right now because we will be going into a bit more detail with it later on. But let's start off with Todd. Thoughts on Killers of Flower Moon and the cinematography for that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was stunning throughout. Like, just an incredible film to look at. And if I can get to see it at the cinema again, I'll be going back to it, like just to see it on that scale. But for me, one of the things, and it's similar to another film we're going to talk about, is it hit the close and the expansive really well. So there was a tracking shot as they were going through the house, partway through, and it was like there was just lots going on. But just to be able to see that as it went through was incredible. But then things like the burning fields, and this is how Michael Bay needs any tips. This is how you do like explosions and fire, like the house, when the house goes up, and they're tracking through the remains and things. I thought the way that they handled sort of going in from the expansive down to the close was really good. And the other thing for me was the in the cars, in the streets where it's just like that full hustle and bustle. I think it's easy to get that wrong, especially when it's being done so many times. But they got a real sense of place. They got a real sense of of time. Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And I think it's going to be hard to beat, but it will be beaten. Collie, I know what I mean.
We don't.
I'm trying not to talk about other films So then I will return to this digression. Go on, Colin. What did you make of it?
Yeah, like you say, it's a really really well shot film. The opening sequence, or one of the early sequences, when it's the Osage dancing around the oil coming out the ground, and just like the close in of that, and then the dancing, and then all the way to the end where there's the final shot of it's obviously it's going up on some sort of crane or whatever, and they're dancing around in the circle and stuff. Like all the capturing of the like traditional Osage stuff, I thought was really really well done. And then, like you say, like just some of the conversations in between DiCaprio and De Niro. There's one later on when DiCaprio finds out about the daughter dying, and then so it's Plemons and DiCaprio talking about it, and then it cuts to kind of De Niro asking what had happened, then gets told, and then he's talking back and forth between the cells, and then there's the subsequent shot when DiCaprio's actually out and they're talking through the bars. I thought a lot of that jail sequences were really, really well done. Like you say, it's just the close up of them both to kind of capture the conversation. I thought was really, really engaging. And then I know we're going to talk about, not necessarily in this category, but later on, we're going to talk about like courtroom sequences and stuff like that. I thought the court sequences were really, really well shot as well. Just to kind of, there was the pressure on it. Was his name? Was it Blackie or whatever? I think it was his name that DiCaprio had like got his car stolen off of and stuff like that. When he was being questioned on his background of it, I thought that was really really well shot, and like just like it really drew you into the story. I thought it was really helpful with the story making. And then yeah, like you say, the fire shots with De Niro like staring through the fire and having the fire like blurred because it was obviously closer, and then him in focus in the background. It was well done. Massey, what did you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we'll obviously again talk about the actual movie as a whole later on and stuff. But for me, the cinematography was unbelievable. Like it's funny. Exactly what you said, Collie, was like the shots that stood out for me. The oil one at the start is like it just sets the tone immediately. And I thought that was so well done. Yeah, it's hard to really add on to what you guys have been saying because that's exactly what my feelings were. And I think again that kind of compounds why it's being nominated for this sort of category, because it's something that's like across every walk of life, whether you enjoy the film, whether you don't enjoy the film. The things that stand out are the similar sort of things. So yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a lot to it cinematography wise. I thought it was outstanding. It really was from that aspect. Cool. Anything else you want to talk about that cinematography? I think we've kind of covered
Just one more note on that.
Yep.
Rodrigo Prieto, who was the cinematographer, he was the cinematographer for Barbie this year as well. Not nominated, but we're saying that he shot a film like this, and then he shot Barbie as well. Two very very like different films and stuff, but both I would say extremely extremely well done. But just there's two kind of opposite sides of the movie spectrum, I would say.
Oh, I thought Barbie was Osage as well.
No, I didn't see an Osage try Barbie at any point.
Okay, I thought it was. Sorry. Okay, now on to the next nomination in this category. We have Oppenheimer. Again, it's going to be one that we're going to talk about quite a bit. But Oppenheimer, during World War II, Lieutenant General Leslie Groves Jr. appoints physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer to work on a top-secret Manhattan project. Oppenheimer and a team of scientists spend years developing and designing the atomic bomb. Their work comes to fruition on July 16th, 1945, as they witness the world's first nuclear explosion, forever changing the course of history. So, again, let's try and keep it more cinematography-wise, because we're going to be talking about this one a heap. But yeah, Collie, do you want to kick us off with
I want you to start with this one because we'll take it in turns, because it always seems to you at the end and you're just like, I can't say anymore. So yeah, we'll do it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can kick this one off.
Fair enough. I thought it was outstanding cinematography wise. Like, it's just from some of the well, I mean, obviously the big shot is the explosion of the hydrogen bomb. Like, it's unbelievably. Sorry.
It wasn't a hydrogen bomb.
Okay, sorry. The Trinity test.
Atomic bomb's fine.
Yeah.
The Trinity test is fine.
Yeah, sorry. Like the way that is all created from the different points of views you see from the we're not going to be talking about sound design, are we really? So, cause sound design for that as well is something that is unbelievable, that adds to it. But like, it's just such a it's a relatively intimate film, but then it has these moments of just absolute bombastic filmmaking, which for me just is absolutely mind blowing. And it's one of those that I'm so glad I saw in the cinema. Again, we'll talk about it, but whether on first watch I wasn't too sure of it or not, watching it in the cinema was something that was really like it felt special, like seeing some of the stuff that they did in cinema. Even just little things like the when Cillian Murphy's in the bed, like thinking of like the atoms and stuff as well, and you see that kind of building above him. Like it's so unique, especially for like a biopic film. It's just so incredibly well done, and then things like even it's not an interrogation, but it's like it's almost like a kangaroo court, isn't it? When he's getting questioned by Jason Clarke and things, and when there's moments of like the bright lights when things are getting really intense on him and stuff like that. I think it's just unbelievably shot. I think it's like absolutely blown away. And again, I'm so glad I got to see it in the cinema. But yeah, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Collie?
Yeah, obviously, like you say, the Trinity test is the kind of the big showpiece, but the renewal of his security clearance, that sequence in that like long thin room, like was just awesome. And not only was it between Clark and Murphy, like that was really really good, but I thought one of my favorite interactions was him and Emily Blunt, so Kitty. Like I won't talk too much about that because we are going to touch on her performance, but the back and forth between her and it was just very argumentative, and it's just the shots are so close to them. And if you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff, it's shot in IMAX, and it's some of it's shot in black and white IMAX, which I'll get onto in a sec. But like they're acting, and the cinematographer's like right in their face, and it's a really loud camera and stuff. So in order to capture that like intensity and stuff like that is really really good. The other sequence, which is when he's talking to the people on the bleachers. And there's that wall behind it. I'm sure you've all seen it. I think I linked it in the chat. The walls. It's not it's not a post
Production
shot thing that's a thing that's done for that. It's literally they photographed the wall behind him and they just shake it back and forth. And then even when you're talking about Massey with the atoms and stuff, that's just Nolan spinning around like a little LED light thing. So to capture a lot of that in camera was like super super well done. And the guy, I can't remember who it is that's talking about in the behind the scenes thing, but Hoyt van Hoytma, I think's his name, the cinematographer. They were like, he must be one of the strongest guys going because this camera's on his shoulder all the time and it weighs like God knows how much. and just the way that you can capture it, and then obviously they created for the first time, or they shot for the first time in black and white IMAX for a lot of the Spross scenes, the Robert Downey Jr. stuff. So even just like Nolan's always going to be doing this, implementing like new ways to do things and very innovative and stuff. But when you look at Hoytma's and his relationship, like they shot Tenet together, Dunkirk together, Interstellar together. They're on the forefront of cinematography, even though Interstellar didn't get nominated for an Oscar, which we were discussing obviously prior to the podcast starting, which is an absolute sin. But you look at the rest of his kind of recent, I would say, maybe the last decade of shooting. He shot Nope with Jordan Peele. Obviously, we covered that on our Nope episode, and I think we all agreed how well that was shot. He shot Ad Astra with Brad Pitt, again, stunning film. He shot Spectre, not the best Bond film ever, but a gorgeous looking one. He shot Her, which is a bit more personal, which is where he's maybe learned stuff for the up close and personal, like human interactions and stuff like that. He shot Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Fighter. He actually shot the original Let the Right One In as well. So this guy's got some pedigree when it comes to cinematography, and I'm looking forward to the rest of his work. And I know we'll come back to it at the end of it, but like this is like the pinnacle of cinematography for me, like up there with Deakins already, I would say. is the daddy of cinematography. But anyway, Todd, hopefully I've left a couple of points for you to talk on. Sorry. Please
Nothing.
do talk about nothing.
Actually, I can circle back to my thing about Killers of the Flower Moon. So I think they're similarly shot. These two films, in terms of, you've got like the big expansive shots, you've got the close-ups. This does it better. Like I think this is an upgrade on what was done in Killers of the Flower Moon. And the one thing I can say, because I do, the shot at the bleachers was just like, I know people were rocked by like the little bits of, they were wanting some sort of like, not gore, but like some sort of like realistic sort, and bits of flesh falling off or whatever. It was him that rocked us. It was him that, it was that shot and that shake that really sort of like sent me west a bit. But it's the different levels of close up, and the sort of, not mean to be too like wanky about it, but like the meaning behind how close that camera is. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, I think sometimes you go like, oh, there's like a close up and then an extreme close up. There was about 3 or 4 different levels of where you're shooting a person from, and it just completely changed the way that you saw them in that moment. So like Kitty, obviously Oppenheimer himself, but even Strauss, like the way he was shot throughout that film, he was almost coming across as a bit of a dickhead from the beginning, despite the fact that he wasn't playing it like that. I just think it was incredibly shot. It was perfect. It, like you say, it's the forefront of cinematography, and I don't know now, especially with how grounded it is in reality. Like, Interstellar should have been nominated without question, but like, I think it's going to be so much harder to create that sort of realistic, it's on the ground, it's a real thing, it's a biopic, and to make it as interesting, part of that was how it was shot. So yeah, incredible.
Perfect.
Yeah, just to expand on when you're saying the close-up shots and of Murphy and Downey Jr. Like, there's like angled shots of them looking at them when they're getting interrogated, or when Strauss is like lambasting, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the guy who played Han Solo, when he's like lambasting him at the end and he's pointing and stuff like that. It's like the camera's like, it's not in front of him, and it's like up here or something like that, looking down on him, and it just like, I can't really how to describe it, but it's like he's like in the camera, like shouting and stuff like that. It's such a weird thing to like probably shoot and come up with it, but it just like completely amplifies the tension of it. And like you say, all the way at the start there, Massey, like the showpiece of the film is the Trinity test and how it's shot. But I would say, if anything, the best parts are the renewal of Oppenheimer's security clearance, and then secondly, the shots in that little room between the court sequences with Downey Jr. Like, I think that's really, really well shot, and obviously we're going to talk about the whole rest of the film, but the way that it like unravels the reveal at the end of the film, I think the cinematography lends to that so well. It's so intense, and we won't talk about the score. I don't know if we want to leave that to maybe Best Picture talking about it or anything like that, but the score like completely works hand in hand with the cinematography here to kind of, some people describe like, okay, I won't go too much into it, but some people describe like the last third of the film as slow, and they kind of got bored like post Trinity test, because that was what the film was about.
Wow.
Missing completely the point, in my opinion. Again, we can talk about that more, but I think like the frantic up close stuff of the cinematography like had me on the edge of my seat for like the whole film. But yeah, we won't go too much into that because we'll stick to the cinematography. But I think like the big selling point is the Trinity test. But I think for me personally, like, and there's even the shots that kind of show Oppenheimer's kind of on an island, so to speak, in the courtroom, is that the shots of him are up close and personal, and then when he's looking down the table from his perspective, it seems they seem so far away, the guys at the end of the table. So the perspective of the way that the table was shot, because again, looking at the behind the scenes stuff, which I highly recommend people check out, it's loads of it on YouTube. That room that they shot in was tiny. That room that they actually shot in was tiny. It wasn't like a fake room, like the Lord of the Rings and stuff with all the perspective for the hobbits and Gandalf stuff. Like, that room was tiny, and to fit everybody in that needed to be there to shoot stuff, I don't know really how they did it, and they don't know how they did it from when you hear about them talking about it, but there's no fakeness in the camera there. It's all in camera shot, and to capture like the space between Robert and the people like obviously reviewing the clearance, and then obviously Clark on the side there shouting at him a lot. It's just so well done. But anyway, we better move on to something else because we're going to talk about this. And just like I'm so excited to see this in the cinema again tonight. I'm so buzzing.
Okay, so moving on before we get bogged down in more Oppenheimer. The next one is Maestro. So, on the verge of securing a golden opportunity, American conductor Leonard Bernstein begins a tumultuous relationship with actress Felicia, upturning their lives.
Close enough. Close enough.
Yeah. Now we're going to be talking about this one a wee bit as well. There's a couple of things we're going to talk about later on. So again, let's focus on the cinematography. Collie, do you want to take us away on Maestro and the cinematography?
Yeah, I'm going to be using the expression "fine" and a little shrug for this film every time we talk about it. I think the way this film's shot is absolutely fine. Like whether it should be nominated or not, I don't think so. But some of the stand-up points, obviously, there's the big sequence when he's conducting, 2/3 of the way through the film or whatever it is. I can't remember the timestamp, but the big sequence that everyone talks about and his arms flailing and stuff, which we'll talk about when we talk about Bradley Cooper. But the way that scene is shot is super super well done, and the way they capture the live music throughout the film is really really well shot. Some of the sequences that aren't the music side of things is when he's like in that little toilet and he's on the phone, and the camera's like he's on the phone like this, and the camera's like looking up at him from below almost and stuff. Coming back to obviously the last two films we talked about with the closeness, I think that's really well done, and it shows you in camera his descent into drug addiction, and he's losing himself a little bit. I know we're not going to talk about like the makeup or anything like that, but I thought like the aging was well done, and it didn't really look bad on camera or anything like that. So there's not too many standout points to talk about for me on this film, especially cinematography wise. It was shot perfectly fine, but when I watched it, knowing that it was nominated for this, obviously you try and look out for that for a bit. But after the film, I'm like, is that really worthy of a nomination? Probably not. And that's not me being biased because I didn't enjoy the film overall, but just like shot wise, it was just adequate. It wasn't like nothing flashy, nothing too stand out. I know we'll go back to his filmography. It's Matthew Libatique, maybe about his surname, and he shot A Star Is Born for Bradley Cooper, which a very well shot film. He shot The Whale, obviously, which was a prominent film in the Oscars last year and stuff like that. So the guy knows how to shoot like intimate sequences and stuff, and there wasn't any part of this that I was just like that's badly shot, but nominated for an Oscar, probably not in my opinion. What about yourself, Todd?
Yeah, sorry, I possibly spoke too early about Conde being the weakest of the group, because at least
well, I pulled a face when you said that. I was like,
well, yeah, I probably should have done a little sort of rank order beforehand. Yeah, because like you say, it doesn't do anything offensive. It's not badly shot, but I don't think, aside from the like you say, the conducting moment, it's not done anything particularly like spectacular. And I think the Oscars should be, if it's the pinnacle, if it's the award that you're getting, there should be something different. And like that's why El Conde is in here. Like I say, it's not the best shot film ever, but it's doing something that's a little bit different. It's trying something, and this isn't. And I do think I've got a little bit of bias against it, not because I don't like the film, and not because I don't like Bradley Cooper, because I love the guy. He's been great in quite a lot. Well, not everything, but a lot of the way he handled that fake baby was phenomenal. Let's
Oscar nominated for that, by the way. Oscar nominated.
Well, and rightly so.
Matthew McConaughey, not a sniff for Interstellar, but no.
Not that anybody's
Bradley
bitter
Cooper
about
is
it.
fucking American fucking propaganda film with the fake baby. Yeah, well, let's nominate that. Anyway. It's 10 years ago, but it's still annoying. It's still so annoying.
Still, yeah.
I'll save my ranting for worst picture. Sorry, breathe.
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah, there was nothing that was like if you want to look at conducting, Tar did it better. Like I know we're not obviously
no question.
Yeah. And it's just a case of it felt like, right, we've got a conducting scene. Let's conduct it from his perspective and then branch. it felt very samey. It felt very safe. I think safe's the word probably. But yeah, the whole process has sort of annoyed me. There was an article, I didn't read it because again I didn't care enough, that said that the Maestro shot that took 4 years to get right, and I was like, right, so we spent 4 years on one shot. We've spent 6 years on one scene. Like, how long has this film been in production?
Sorry, Massey, is that Todd saying that he didn't research properly for this podcast?
I think it
I'm
was,
shocked and
yeah.
appalled.
Our CEO
I
decides that
read
he's not wanting to
Sorry,
research.
just as a point, I've been nominated CEO when I wasn't here. That's a position that's been put upon me rather than, you know.
You were
I haven't
first in the
interviewed or
call,
anything.
but last to unmute, so, you know, power
That's
move.
a great word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you unmuted to cough in our ears, so that was definitely, you know, a power move.
Yeah, it wasn't even a
You're
little
like,
one.
oh, guys, I am
Nah.
here.
Took the Reds off to start the morning. Massey, how what about the cinematography?
Well, thank you, Mr. CEO. I will now take over. So yeah, I agree. I do think, though, to be fair, I think the black and white sequences look beautiful, like really, really good. And there's some shots that almost look like photographs or pictures that are like really interesting. But it feels very, when you say safe, that's an interesting way to put it. It feels very like they're like trying to be artistic, trying to be too artistic, like almost too arty farty. Like there's the one where it's like the shot from the bottom of like the trellises, and they're Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan are talking at the top of it, and it's like coming through the trellises. So it just felt like super like arty farty and trying to be too arty farty at points. Looked really nice, but again, it's not. It's almost like an art student was like doing like a film for it, and we're like for like a for a uni or something like that, and was like, "Ooh, I need to get this wall with all the pictures and stuff in it, and have Bradley Cooper just off center and stuff like that." That's kind of what it felt like. That's what it felt like for me anyway, in terms of cinematography. Not bad, not great. And it's interesting that you said, Todd, about having El Conde here, which did something different. That's kind of what I would hope for as well, is that the cinematography would be a little bit different than kind of what you'd expect from that sort of thing. So yeah, but again, I don't want to get too much into the rest of the film because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Anything else you want to add with Maestro there at all, or no?
I'm good.
Cool, perfect. So, moving on to the last nomination in the cinematography category, we have Poor Things. So, brought back to life by an unorthodox scientist, a young woman runs off with a lawyer on a whirlwind adventure across the continents. Free from the prejudices of her times, she grows steadfast in her purpose to stand for equality and liberation. Is it Todd starting off this one?
Very, very eloquent synopsis there, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Just off the top of the head, yeah. Todd, was it yourself at
We
starting?
got, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I thought this was incredible.
Let him talk. Talk.
Yeah, thought it was ridiculous. I thought when you talk about trying something different, and when you're saying about like Maestro being a bit arty farty and trying to be a bit too much, I thought this was appropriately arty. I thought it worked really well. It was this surreal world that they created from the beginning. And again, we'll get into the actual film, but I don't think with Poor Things you can't talk about one without the other. You can't miss. You can't talk about the cinematography without talking about everything else that happens within it, because it's so it's so put together so well. Just the different worlds and how well. Sorry, I say different worlds. I know they're different countries, but like they feel like different planets altogether. In particular, the scene with the poor people in the sort of the base and all that is the only way I could describe it. And how she looks down on that, the difference between them felt almost like too much, like overwhelming. I just thought it was incredible. Even things like the dancing scene, which I don't know if you, I think I might have shared it actually. If you haven't seen Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo talking about the dancing scene and how jealous Willem Dafoe is that he didn't get involved. But that dancing scene's so ridiculous, and again, could have just been shot from a wide shot. It could have just been shot from one perspective, and yet they twisted it, they changed it. I thought it was out of this world, the way it was shot. And I think they had a lot to contend with as well, with, like I said, the different countries and how they were sort of represented. Yeah, it's one of those I can't wait to see again. I'm desperate to see it again. If not for just how it looks, I think the old thing about you could take any sort of shot from this film, any frame, and make it a poster, and I think it would work. I think it works for Poor Things. Massey?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the shot of, I think it's Prague she goes to first, isn't it? Is that the first? Wherever first goes.
Lisbon.
Lisbon, that's it. Sorry, Lisbon. I don't know why I said Prague. Lisbon looks unbelievable. Like seeing, you're almost like looking at it from through her eyes and seeing like the floating cars and stuff, or like the big trams and things. Like it's unbelievable. And even little things like there's like fisheye lenses every so often that kind of distort the world for our view. That it seems like you're almost like a fly in the wall in a way, watching this like really twisted kind of well, obviously it's like kind of based on Frankenstein, isn't it? But it's almost like a monstery kind of world, which is absolutely beautiful. And even little things like when she's first learning how to walk through like the house. Obviously we'll get on to Emma Stone's performance and the physicality that's used there, but the way like the camera is able to kind of follow her and is almost like a character within itself. Sorry, that sounds really pretentious, isn't it? The camera is almost a character within itself. But it really is. Like, it's like, when you think of all the things that add up to a film and what needs to be right, like the cinematography is so important to make sure that all kind of comes across. And yeah, I just thought the cinematography was unbelievable. Again, we're talking about how Oppenheimer was like, there was a lot of like more personal stuff and things here. This is a bit more wacky and out there, but I think it just completely lends to the story. Yeah, I thought it was just so beautifully well done. And again, I'm really glad that I managed to watch this one. In fact, we watched all these in the cinema, of course, because that's the only way you could watch them legally. So I watched this in the cinema.
Oppenheimer's out on 4K.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. And yeah, I'm so glad I got to see this cinema and enjoy its wackiness and weirdness. I thought it was phenomenal. Collie?
Yeah, I mean, like, you've covered a lot of the points. It's a batshit crazy film, and it is subsequently shot that way. The fisheye lens was a really good point there. It just kind of, it like obscures certain parts of the screen at some point as well. So it's like, it's not, obviously it's got like the black bars at the top and the bottom, but even on the side, and it's a lot more directed, if that's the word that I would want to use, towards the scene. And yeah, the dance sequence especially, because like, again, it's the weird angles in a lot of these films that she's like coming towards the camera, but the camera's like down below her looking up. It's just like doing her weird like sidesteppy thing on, and like just capturing them within the crowd on the dance floor dancing, but like obviously like they're the focus, but you can tell that they're now the focus of the room because of what the fuck they're up to and stuff. But yeah, Emma Stone is such an interesting actress to shoot. We talked about it briefly earlier. Birdman. That was one of the films that I think was like a breakout for her in terms of a big performance for her, and I think a lot of it was to do with the way that she was shot. She was really like quite skinny in that film, and she's got these big bug eyes, like not in a bad, but like her eyes are massive. Like, you know what I mean? Like her eyes are one of her standout features and stuff. And I think like in order to make her stand out in a film, you need to capture that properly, and they really, really did. And it suited Poor Things character wise because she is this naive, like, you know, like mentally developing character and stuff. So she is a, you know, bug eyed, like, you know, learning all the world. They need to take in everything, and then I think it captures that. And as she becomes more and more mature, I think like the camera steps back from her almost a little bit, and as she grows, like the distance between her and the camera. So it's her in these big expansive cities and stuff, and like you say, the sequence when she's like realizing about the poor and stuff like that, and how that's how the world works, and she's crying and upset and stuff. And because is she crying on a stairs? Is she? It's like outside on a stairs, and she's getting comforted by oh god, what's the actor's name? Anyway, she's getting comforted by him and stuff. and just like it's capturing her trauma of it, and the way that the poor were shot, and was from her point of view. A lot of this film was from her point of view, looking out at the world. And I think if it wasn't shot as well as it was, I think that would really undersell the film. I think, like, is it George? Is it Lanthimos? Is that his name?
Yorgos
The director.
Lanthimos,
Yeah, Yorgos. Sorry, Lanthimos. Like, I think this is the second time they worked together. Him and Robbie Ryan's the cinematographer. They did. Is it The Favourite?
Mm-hmm.
The Favourite together. Yeah, they did The Favourite together. So obviously they've got a bit of rapport, and he wanted to bring him back for that. And this is like The Favourite cranked up to like not even 11, but 20 or something, a million. Yeah. So in order for him to keep up with Yorgos's like vision of everything was really, really well done. So I think I, as much as I was saying about Maestro previously that probably wasn't deserving to be in this category, I think 100% is to be here with the other nominees. It's just very different. It's just very different, but not in a negative way. I thought it was fantastic.
Yep.
And I am hoping. I think this is the last film I think in Cineworld are showing in their Oscars thing. I think it's showing on Sunday night. I want to say.
Oh, is it okay?
Of the ceremony, so I might see if I'm available to try and see this again on the big screen.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about with cinematography there? Happy enough with that? With Poor Things? No, I'm done with that.
Poor
Things, perfect. So yeah, when we get to the end of a category, what we do is we discuss what we want to win in the category and what we think will win. So I'm just going to quickly throw it over to Collie first of all. Want to go through your what you want to win and what you think will win in the best cinematography?
Oppenheimer, I want and think.
Fair enough.
To be fair, like I think it will win, but I think that they might just like not give Oppenheimer everything and give it to the likes of Poor Things, which would be well deserved. And same with Killers of the Flower Moon. Al Condi's like never going to win it, being realistic. Like I think it's definitely worthy of winning it, but against these ones, unfortunately for it, like it's just a no-go.
Yep. Todd?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'd love to see Poor Things get the nod, but I think Oppenheimer will win. And like you say, in terms of it's the peak of cinematography. There's no other way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah, to be fair, I want Poor Things to win, but I think Oppenheimer will win. And again, that's not me saying I don't want Oppenheimer to win, if that makes sense. I think it's kind of similar to what you guys are saying, is that like I think Oppenheimer, and I really hope, like you said there, Colin, I really hope they don't take that into consideration in that they can't give Oppenheimer everything, because spoiler, it pretty much does. So like I really hope that they don't take that into account.
So just as a brief thing about that, Oppenheimer's nominated for 13 Oscars, and the record at the moment is held by I think 3 films: Titanic, Return of the King, and one of the old films. They got 11 wins. So I think, like, again, spoiler for what we're going to talk about, I think Oppenheimer has a chance in 12 categories. I would say there's one that I don't think, unfortunately, that we will talk about later. But there's a chance that it would win. It could break the record. I don't think it will. I don't think they would do that nowadays, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know about yourselves, but some of the categories I noted down what maybe could have been in there instead.
Oh no, I didn't do that. But yeah, if you got
to share, I think like all 4 of them. Sorry, all 4 of the 5. Sorry, apart from Maestro, deserve to be there. And if we're limiting it to 5, I think even Barbie for a double nomination would be worthy of it, or even the likes of Napoleon. So obviously we're going to talk about VFX next, and the line between those 2 categories is a bit blurred for me at times. But something like that, or Barbie even I'd rate that, or even like I'm just looking at the list of nominees this year. Even something like The Holdovers or Anatomy of a Fall. I think all of them were better shot than Maestro.
Even Past Lives, like some of the stuff.
Even Past Lives. Yeah, exactly. So I don't particularly know why or understand why Maestro of all those films is nominated. I know there's only like certain nominees that you can get and stuff, but when this is in there compared to those, I don't really agree. But it's there, but it's not going to win it, thankfully. And if it does, then The Oscars is in the mud yet again.
It already is.
Yeah. Why the fuck are we doing this?
Right. Okay. So
Unless the Oscars wants to sponsor us as the official podcast of the
course.
Oscars, then of course.
We take
Love
it.
you, Academy. You're
Yes.
absolutely the best.
We
Jamie
love-
Lee Curtis deserved it.
we love you, old white
Fog.
men.
Did you fuck? Anyway.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
saving all the anger for a certain category. Let's move on quickly.
So we are moving on to the next category, which is the best visual effects. So the nominees for this one is The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Napoleon. Now, so the first one we'll talk about.
Why
in
is he
the-
Italian? Why you got an Italian accent?
No, it's
to say
he's from
Napoleon?
Elba. I've been there. I've actually been to the place that he was born, so I know him.
Should have
I
been
know him.
fucking
I know him at more
exiled there as
personal,
well.
a more personal level than you guys. So
Yeah, but as tall as him as well.
I'm 6'2". How dare you?
Hey, fuck. I stand there in a 1 foot tall box, maybe.
Anyway, so the first one we'll talk about is The Creator. Now, as a future war between the human race and artificial intelligence rages on, ex-Special Forces agent Joshua is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, the elusive architect of advanced AI. The Creator has developed a mysterious weapon that has the power to end the war and all of mankind. As Joshua and his team of elite operatives venture into enemy-occupied territory, they soon discover the world-ending weapon is actually an AI in the form of a young child. Who's it? Were you last, Todd, or was it Ollie? It was last. I can't
Polly,
remember.
yeah.
Ah, so you can kick things off. You just kick things off.
Okay, fine, perfect.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense. There was five films. Yeah, you're sixth. You were
Me.
third. You were
Okay, that's
third
fine.
and then sixth. So yeah,
Okay, perfect. I didn't expect to do maths today, but it's all good. Right, so
I've got it covered, mate. Don't you worry.
okay, thanks. The Creator, like visual effects, unbelievable, like genuinely unbelievable. The way that they were able to make the humans, or sorry, the cyborg thingies with like the metal bits in the back of their head look so real, and like I can't believe that the budget for this was 80 million. Like that is absolutely mind-blowing to me when you think of as I said in Letterboxd, when you think of the fact that Ant-Man had $200 million budget, and this had 80 million, like the difference in visual effects and how that was put to it is incredible. The big eagle thing as well, the big ship eagle, I can't remember what it's called, like looked what
Nothing.
like flying about and stuff. I thought that like that ship design was insane, and it's like something we've never really seen before. But the main, for me, the main thing that it did incredibly well and almost blows everything else out of the water is the way they were able to create these like humanoid cyborg things, and make it look genuinely real. Like it was stunning to me to see how well that the VFX budget was used. I thought it was unbelievable. Collie, thoughts on the VFX for The Creator?
Yeah, it continues Gareth Edwards' run, I think, of making amazing looking films that look like grounded and not too like otherworldly, even though obviously it's dealing with, you know, a future here. But then when you look at like when he shot Rogue One and Godzilla, the guy knows how to keep films looking good with their visual effects, which I think is kind of a secret sauce, as you could say, in terms of VFX, is make it look like it's real, make it look like it's practical, and I think the guy really knows how to do that. Like you say, on such a low budget, it was outstanding. See the ship design, the kind of android design with the back of the head and stuff like that, and even just like the way that they tell the story. Because again, this is the only chance we're going to have to talk about this film, so we can kind of go in a little bit more, I think, than the VFX if this is our only chance. Just like the way that just the world is created. Obviously, a lot of it was shot in camera or whatever on different locations and stuff, but the building out of the world to look like, you know, recent but not like in the near future, and yeah, the shots of that ship with the laser looking down just before it drops the missiles and stuff, I thought there wasn't one shot in this film, and I was lucky to see this in the cinema, and then I've subsequently watched it on a smaller screen. But to see it in the cinema, I thought it was a gorgeous looking film. And I digress a little bit more onto Gareth Edwards. He's now been given a Jurassic Park World, whatever the fuck you want to call it, film.
Jurassic City, I think it's been called, apparently.
Yeah, so Jurassic World trilogy, absolute dog shit. Like, terrible. Like, none of them were good. None of them were good. Like, Jurassic World was good, but that's only because the other two were fucking terrible. So hopefully, kind of like what you did with Godzilla, which we can, we won't talk about that on this podcast, but like Godzilla X Kong and stuff's out this year, but it's went a little bit too far for me. But when he rebooted the Godzilla franchise and the way he shot Godzilla and the way that Godzilla was created, obviously using visual effects, because I don't think he's real. I can double check that though.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
But I get like Rogue One's probably my favorite Star Wars film in the last 20 odd years, just because of the way that it's made and stuff. But like, you're filming Star Wars, so like a lot of that's gonna have to be visual effects, and I don't think any of it looked bad. And similar with the creator, and hopefully similar with the Jurassic film. I think the guy, obviously it's not him doing the VFX personally, but he's obviously heavy involved in it, so I'm just giving him a lot of the credit for the crew. They done it, but when you look back on his first film, Monsters, I think it was Mark Commode was talking about it, that was shot on location, a lot of it in like Central America and stuff, but then he went home and did a lot of the VFX on his own in his house on a computer. Like, he did that on his own, so the guy knows how to do it, but maybe not on the scale that he is. But like, the guy's got the mind and the vision to see that. So
I suppose something like that's probably like even lends itself even more as the fact that the fact he's almost been in the dugout and done the VFX side of it. He's then able to, from a directorial viewpoint, make sure that the VFX
he can convey.
He can
convey what he wants, and then he can make sure that it looks good. Yeah. Sorry, Todd, I've taken over it a bit, but fire away. What was your thoughts on the creator?
So I'm with you. I think it's got a similar sort of. Obviously, we're was District 9 2007. Well, I think I'm taking a number and out of the air. But we're a long ways away from District 9.
There's a 9.
I think it's that makes sense. Yeah, we're a long ways away from it, and I think this is one of the best integration of VFX, like as in other creatures or whatever you want to call them. So it's the bombs that run, like the sort of barrel head, and when the kid, the weapon, whatever it is, touches stops it and it's seamless. There's just no sort of there's not a moment where you think you can tell it looks like a real, like they've got a little animatronic bomb leg in it, and unless I've missed something, I'm pretty sure they haven't. But yeah, I'm with you on the sort of the telling fact of the androids with the hole in the back of the head and stuff. I think it was incredible. As a film, I thought it was fine. I think I went 3.5 stars with it on Letterboxd. Other people were going wild for it, and that's absolutely fine. Like, it's not one of those films where I'm like, no, this is dog shit and you're wrong. I can completely understand why people loved it. But yeah, in terms of visual effects, it was incredible. It was just seamless is the word. Seamless is the only word I can use, where I think, out of everything, you just couldn't tell unless these weren't real things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But other than that, I think we covered it perfectly.
Yeah. I just want to, again, you're right saying that we don't talk about this again. So just purely for clarity's sake as well, I again thought the film, I'm like you, Todd, I thought it was fine. I mean, I give it 2.5 stars, probably being quite harsh, to be fair.
2.5?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's mental.
But I didn't care about it.
Sorry.
The only thing I really cared about was the VFX. I didn't enjoy the story and stuff. But the VFX are insane as we've spoke about. So yeah, but we don't have to go into that, obviously.
Let's not go into it. Let's move on.
Let's leave the anger for worst picture.
I mean, we're going to be circling back to that 2.5 for the creator when we get to worst picture. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Okay, so moving on to the next.
I've got Letterboxd loaded up as we speak.
Oh god. Moving on to the next VFX one. It is Godzilla -1. Now again, just for kind of transparency's sake, I have not seen this film. I could not see it in the cinema. I couldn't find a way to. So I'm out of this one. But anyway, Godzilla -1. Japan has barely recovered from the Second World War when a gigantic peril emerges off the coast of Tokyo. Koichi, a deserter traumatized by his first confrontation with Godzilla, sees this an opportunity to redeem his conduct during the war. So yeah, as I say, I'm out of this one. I'll leave you guys to this one. I haven't seen this, so with college, what take it away?
Yeah, sure. So I think like we'll talk about the budget of each of these films because I think it's a very comparative thing to do. Allegedly, the budget for this was less than 20 million, somewhere around the 10 to 15 million mark, which I find to be absolutely insane. When you compare this to the likes of the recent Godzilla films, I know we just talked positively about the Gareth Edwards one, but this is as well shot slash VFX created as that. This is my first like foray into the Japanese Godzilla films. I think it's a lot of people's first foray into it, unless you're a dedicated Godzilla fan, which is fair enough. But yeah, just the way it's it was kind of back to a lot of old monster films where like even harken back to Alien and that, like they don't show you the full extent of the monster. And again, that might be budgetary or whatever, but I think the VFX lends itself, like in its subtlety, to the film. I love this. Again, lucky enough to see it in the cinema. No subsequent availability to watch it again at home, so my memory is a little bit not ropey on it or anything like that. But like, I can't really recall too many shots off the top of my head to mention it. So this might be a short, review, but. I think like when this comes out or is available for home release on like 4K or something like that, I'll definitely pick it up. I think it's one of those ones that you can kind of, even though it's a foreign language film, which isn't the most accessible thing, like it gets by perfectly fine because like, again, only opportunity to talk about this, but I thought the story was really engaging. I thought the acting performances were really engaging as well. So yeah, like I really enjoy the recent Godzilla films. Don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy them, but it just shows the disparity in them compared to like the Hollywood version of Godzilla to the Japanese cinema version of him. A big baddie. Yeah, it's I really enjoyed this, and I do recommend people check it out. Massey, when you get a chance,
Yeah.
Please do check it out and let us know. Like tweet out or your letterboxd or whatever. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I must just kind of say as well, I have seen obviously like kind of clips and stuff that they've been like
Yes.
on Twitter and all that sort of things, and like from what I've seen, it looks absolutely wonderful. Like
Even that was sparse though. Like I
Yeah.
really struggled to even like get anything online like YouTube or anything like that about like Godzilla -1 review, and they were only using the poster as a backdrop or whatever when they're talking about it. Sorry,
Yeah.
you were saying.
No, I was just gonna say there was like one thing I saw of like when his like spines like stick out and turn blue and like as it goes up his back.
Yes.
It looked unbelievable.
Mm.
But yeah, no, definitely check it out when it comes out. Todd?
Yeah, so and in comparison, last night went to see June 2 and the trailer for Godzilla X Kong or Kong X Godzilla, and so I loved like I went into this relatively blind because I'm like you, Collie. My experience of Godzilla is the the Hollywood version. I will still defend the 1999 Matthew
Matthew
Broderick.
Broderick.
Oh, I love that
Godzilla.
film. I love that film.
People like shit on it. I really enjoy it. But when I got into that and he starts like powering up his attack, it was so video gamey. I was just like, fucking, this is brilliant. Like I was just there like a 6-year-old loving this. And the comparison, so I don't know if you've seen the Kong Godzilla trailer, but Godzilla powers up in that as well, and the difference is shocking. Like if it's right, this is 20 million, but even if that's a conservative estimate, even like, do you know what I mean? It's going to be so much less than what this film coming out has. It looked so much better. In terms of visual effects, the one that stood out for me was when the main lass is on the train, and you just see like the destruction happening. And again, it was flawless for me. I saw it at the cinema. I can't think of a point where I, was taken out of it by the visual effects. I thought it was incredible. I thought Godzilla looked amazing. The way that they again, I won't go too much into it because I do think it's a film that's worth going into knowing as little as possible. Like the way that they sort of combat Godzilla and try and defeat him type thing. I thought all of that worked really well visually. But I'm with you. I love the human side of it. The sort of it it wasn't a Godzilla film from the very beginning. You know, it wasn't like there is a big bad lizard that's coming to kill everybody. It was, this is a human story. You know, we're getting into, you could make a story about the lead character and just his troubles, you know, of what's going on and coming back from war and stuff when he shouldn't have been because he was a kamikaze pilot, and then all of a sudden this big lizard fucks everything else up in monumental ways, like, you know, and it puts it in perspective for everybody and everybody becomes a team. It was, yeah, it looked incredible, but as a film, I was blown away by it. It was probably like, and this isn't sort of spoilers for the next episode or anything because we're not talking about this again, but it was one of my favourite films of last year. It ranked right up there for me.
Wow. Okay, perfect. We'll move on to the next one then, unless there's anything else.
Sorry, just because I was quickly checking. It's apparently out. Well, it was apparently out last month on home release, which has not been. But hopefully we'll get a home release of it soon.
Well, I did see there was apparently Criterion are going to be releasing it.
All right, okay.
I believe, but I don't know when or whatever. So,
wow,
yeah.
Because hopefully with the home release, they release it in black and white as well. Because I know they did another run at the cinema of it in black and white, and I didn't get to see that.
I heard that, yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, look, so moving on to the next one, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill must rally his team to defend the universe and protect one of their own. If the mission is not completely successful, it could possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. I think we're on to Todd now, aren't we? So, Todd, take it away.
Yeah, so I unfortunately didn't see it at the cinema, just like out of time wise, and then held off watching this for so long. And I think it's because Guardians 1 and 2 were like my favourite part of the MCU. It was just, they were perfectly pitched, you know, it perfectly cast everything. And then the hype around this was so big, I was just like, what happens if it's shit? What happens if I hate it and like it ruins it? It didn't. The film was brilliant. Like, sorry, just to talk on the film itself, because again we won't get to talk on it. I think it was the perfect end to the, you know, to the trilogy for them. I love what they did with Rocket and his storyline. It was brilliant. I think the VFX are the best that Marvel have done in a while. Again, I'm behind on the MCU TV stuff, so I apologize if there's other stuff in between. But I'm not ragging on it. I'm not going to sit here and, like I say, we've got plenty of time to rag on things. But like, if you look at Quantumania and how far that the VFX took you out of it, you know, it was back to the glory days. It was back to sort of the. There's a lot going on VFX wise. There's a lot going on. You know, you've got Groot, you've got Rocket, but even sort of the setting. Obviously, it's a lot of it's going to be green screen. A lot of it's going to be in a studio, and it was spot on. It was brilliant. I think it stands sort of back a bit. I think it's going to take a hit because it's Disney in terms of, you know, with the money and stuff. I think other ones will get a look in more in terms of the Oscars. I don't know if that's fair to say, but I think because it's Disney, people go, well, they did have this massive budget and this massive like studio behind them. But yeah, again, there's not really anything. Excuse me. Not really
CEO there,
anything
ladies and
that,
gents.
did I mute in time? I feel like I muted in time. Good. Yeah. There's nothing that really stands out as like an incredible shot or like an incredible piece of VFX, but I think that's probably because it lands in the sort of realm for me where it's all VFX. There's always something going on where in the other films that we've talked about, you know, and the subsequent films that we'll talk about, they're all grounded in a little bit more reality. Like you say, even though the creator was, you know, in the future, it's still a very grounded film. It's still a very human film where this is more like, you know, space battles looked incredible, you know, like flying through space or whatever. Yeah, so it was fantastic. It was brilliant. I just don't think it's an Oscar winner, personally. Colin.
Yeah, I think when you're saying it's the best Marvel's done for a long time, I would say it's some of the best work that Marvel's done, like at all. I thought it was amazing. The ability to make you feel all sorts of heartache for Rocket, and who's a little CGI character, is amazing. And again, because it's the only time that we're talking about this film, if Bradley Cooper was going to be nominated for a film last year, it should have been this, and it shouldn't have been Maestro. I thought his voice acting in this was excellent. And to be fair, he was missing for quite a lot of the film. In the timeline or whatever, but all the flashbacks and stuff like that to him when he's with his little pals, it was really, really well done. And just talking on his little crew, like the VFX on them, I thought all their interactions looked really, really good. One of the standout VFXs for me was Cosmo, the Russian space dog. I thought that was flawless. I thought that was great. And yeah, again, because we're not going to get to talk on it, the kind of corridor fight sequence, I thought was incredible. I thought it was one of the best action sequences in Marvel for either a long time or again ever. I thought it was amazing. How each character got their own little feature in that, and yeah, I thought this film was amazing. I personally didn't really like Volume 2 that much, so I thought this was on par, if not even slightly better than the original overall, I would say. I think top to bottom, the cast was really, really good. Spoiler alert: this is likely their final time as this iteration of the Guardians. Obviously, it was James Gunn's bow out from the MCU as well. So all round, I think everything came together really well with this film. And yeah, probably not going to win this, I don't think, category for me. I know we'll talk about that at the end, but I think a worthy nominee. And it's it showcases how disappointing Marvel has been for the fact that like this has got the same budget as some of the other films like Ant-Man, and how come that's so bad and then this is so good, I don't know. But yeah, I love this film. I rewatched it on Thursday there, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, and it'll be one that I'll go back to constantly, because there's no ropey CGI is definitely a contributing factor to that, along with everything to do with the film in terms of the story and everything from top to bottom. Excellent film. Massey?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with what you guys are saying. As I say, there's like there's a lot of like fully CGI characters like Rocket, Groot, Cosmo, the little what was his name, Toothless and all that sort of the little I can't remember their names, his little pals. But yeah, I completely agree. I think VFX wise, it was just unbelievable. One of the other things that stood out to me as well, and I thought was actually really well done, was Adam Warlock and the way that when he was flying. I thought that was such a interesting way to do it. And the VFX for that, again, just completely added to the sense of how fast he was going and how powerful and stuff he was. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's one of Marvel's better things. And I mean, if you don't get emotional at this film, then you've basically got a stone heart, because it is definitely a tearjerker. I don't actually have much more to say, to be honest. You guys have kind of covered it, but again, I completely agree with all your sentiments. I think it's a wonderful one, and Collie, yeah, I totally agree as well. I don't think it's going to win, but I think it's again a well worthy Oscar nominee. Absolutely,
yeah.
Okay, so on to the next one, and quite a long title here. So we're on to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. So Ethan Hunt and the IMF team must track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity. It falls in the wrong hand. Oh, sorry. Let me just start that again. As whoever wrote this, myself, I mean, did it wrong. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team must track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity if it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious, all-powerful enemy, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than the mission, not even the lives of those he cares most about.
What was wrong with that synopsis there? I missed it. What did you trip up on?
No, nothing at all. I didn't trip up.
Wait, no, I'm reading it right now. Where did you trip up?
It was between humanity and if. I think it was like extra space, so like, or it looks like extra space on my one actually. I think it's the way I've got it set.
There's no extra space in mine. You just can't read.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Fine.
English, motherfucker. Do you read it? You know.
Right. Okay. Okay. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Is it me? Yeah, it's me, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. This is a funny one for me because again, visual effect wise, I don't know if it's. You were talking about. I know you kind of touched on it, Collie, about like the difference between sort of like cinematography and VFX. This is kind of where it's sort of like it's kind of goes hand in hand with me as well. I think what stands out for me, obviously, I'm assuming they're taking the VFX like things like the train sequence and things like that, where I thought were really well made, but I don't know if that's more like a cinematography sort of thing. But in terms of, again, because we're talking about it as a some of the time we'll talk about it, I thought it was a really good film, and I'm some of the Mission Impossibles, it's kind of got bigger and bigger, hasn't it, over the sort of years, and I think this is like leading up to what's going to be obviously the biggest of them all, because I believe it's going to be the last one, isn't it? Part 2, is that right? I'm not massive.
Probably not.
Do you think they'll go after that as well? Well,
They say that, but they're probably not.
yeah, fair. I thought it was a really good movie, a really incredible movie. That was super well shot. There's really cool bits like it's when he jumps off of the motorbike. But again, like it's hard to like say that as a visual effect. I suppose it kind of is, isn't it? When I think,
Well, have you seen any of the behind the scenes for it?
No, I haven't actually. No.
So it's a big ramp he jumps off of.
Yeah. So
and
like
then the visual effects is added in the mountain, so it looks like a mountain he jumps off of.
oh,
So I would say that's the big. So for the fact that you didn't know that, like, shows how well blended
yeah,
the visual effects shots were.
definitely.
Yeah. So if you look at it, it's a big ramp that they built on the side of the mountain, and then the mountain itself that he jumps off of it's all visually added in
Right.
to look like it's an extension of the real mountain, and that he's jumping off of it. So it's not like a
Right.
natural ramp or anything like that he jumped off of.
Wow. Okay.
So that's like I was going to mention that as like that's the standout like VFX shot for me, and I think for the film is
Yeah.
that it's so well blended and it's so like believable or whatever that it's not added.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, are you carrying on with your
Yeah,
points?
no,
Sorry.
no. I mean, I'm just gonna off the back of that. Yeah, absolutely. That changes it kind of then for me then, because I genuinely didn't know that was that was kind of part of it. I was just thinking it was just like a stunt thing as opposed to.
You should watch the behind the scenes of it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Like him and the director are talking about it. He's like, I think I can open my parachute lower, and the director's like, oh my god, it's insane. Like I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast. I've definitely mentioned it anytime I've talked about Tom Cruise. Like, say what you want about the guy in terms of like all that kind of stuff, but see in terms of like A-list action actors, I don't think there's anybody bigger or better than Tom Cruise. I think he's amazing. Like, not just in the Mission Impossible films, but like Edge of Tomorrow, which I recently watched. All sorts of things that he's done throughout his career. I think he absolutely nails everything. The Top Gun Maverick, was that last year or the year before we talked about?
Sure.
Whenever it was,
Yeah.
whenever it was, excellent that as well. But yeah, the stunt stuff that he does, even at his age and his height, are absolutely.
He's 6'2" as well. What are you talking about?
Yeah, are absolutely amazing. The thing is, like, I think he's like the same height as me. I think he's just like talked about for his height because he's not 6'2", but he's in all these action films and stuff. But you know, even just talking about him briefly, like when he played Jack Reacher, like he's not like Jack Reacher in the books, but I think when the Reacher films were made, the second one wasn't great, but the first one was really good. But I think if it was the likes of Statham or that played him in a movie, I think it would have just been another Jason Statham movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've subsequently like retconned that point for me because the TV series is really good. But I think when like just Tom Cruise being that kind of A-list draw to the original film was the right move to make, even if he's not book accurate to Reacher. But yeah, just like the VFX in this film, a lot of it like you can't really tell because it's blended into the camera super well, which is a compliment to it.
Yeah.
And the train sequence is definitely another one to mention. Overall thoughts on the film, I thought it's difficult because for me, like Love Number 1, 2, and 3 are not as good as 1. 4, 5, and 6 just get better and better and better. And I would say like this one's not as good as 4, 5, and 6. But then again, I feel harsh saying that it's like number, what would that be, 6 on the list in terms of the best ones, because it's fantastic. The sequence with Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise in the car when they're mucking about driving the car and stuff like that, that was properly like laugh out loud funny as well. Which is always what Mission Impossible's always been. It's been always been a good blend of comedy and action and stuff. So I definitely think like it's worthy of this category for the fact that a lot of it was probably post added VFX, but not noticing it is kind of you know what makes it really good, which is what we talked about with the creator as well.
Yeah, like I suppose it's more subtle, isn't it, than like the more kind of like front of the
in your face stuff like Guardians and that, and even Godzilla.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd?
Yeah, so I was a little bit concerned about this one just in terms of talking about it. So I like looked into, there was a video by VF. I'll link it up. I'll send you the link. We'll put it on Twitter. So like even stuff like in the airport where Simon Pegg's rushing through trying to find the suitcase, like that's just our green screen. Like, and obviously it is, because where are they going to be shooting that where it's going to be like easy to shoot or whatever, but it felt so well integrated. But other than the train scene and the motorbike going off the cliff, my absolute favourite behind the scenes shot is when Tom Cruise is laid down and like next to the train track in the tunnel and the train's going past him. Obviously, there's no real train there. It's just a guy with a massive, like, leaf blower blowing at Tom Cruise's head. It's fantastic. And this guy's like, obviously, Tom Cruise is acting his art out, bless him. And this guy is taking it so seriously. Like, I'd be having a bit of a laugh with it, and he's there, like, dead stoic and stuff.
Do you think he tells his friends that he's blowing Tom Cruise?
So, the next thing... This is what we have to put up with on a regular basis. No, it was just like it's so well integrated, and I think it comes back to I know Fincher isn't nominated, and we're not talking about him, but like I watched was it the Zodiac behind the scenes where like a lot of it's subtle changes to the background, little sort of enhancements that make things a little bit more impressive. The other thing in the video was there's a massive like hallway of not hallway, like a massive hall of people on computers. I can't remember specifically what's happening. There's only like half of those people, if not like a third.
It's when they're typing up on typewriters. Is it not all the intelligence in the world because they want to get it offline because of the AI thing? Is that not it?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it is.
Like I just remember seeing from this video, like do you know what I mean? The sort of. But yeah, I'm relatively new to the Mission Impossible films. Like, it was a conversation we had, Collie, where it was sort of you were like, you haven't seen them, you need to see them. And over the last year, maybe year and a half, I've been catching up. And I think it's more because of just Tom Cruise as a guy rather than as an actor that I've not really sort of caught up because is Edge of Tomorrow's Live, Die, Repeat, right? That's that was like I was new to that. Had a great time with it. I have a great time with the Mission Impossible films, and I do think it's a case of like you say, he's bankable. He's going to be doing these daft stunts. He's going to be like trying to make things bigger to draw people in. And I thought it was great fun. Haley Atwell was great. Rebecca Ferguson, fantastic in everything she's in.
Thought the bad guy was really good as well. I've not seen him in much, or I didn't recognize him from much. Isai Morales. I've not seen him in too much, but I thought he was really, really good.
Quite menacing, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he was in Ozark. I think was one of the main things that he'd been. Okay. But I've never really got into that.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Anything else to add, or we go on to the final one in the VFX?
Yeah, I'm good to move on.
Cool, perfect. Okay, so the final one is Napoleon. A look at the military commander's origins and his swift, ruthless climb to emperor, viewed through the prism of his addictive and often volatile relationship with his wife and one true love, Josephine. Where are we at with this one? Collie, is it yourself?
Vanessa Kirby was really good in Mission Impossible. Sorry, I know we're ready to talk about her, but she was really good. So, and when she's playing Haley Atwell playing her, I thought that was amazing on the train.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, Napoleon. Sorry, would you say it was me?
Yes, it's you. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is again back to when I was like, it's really hard to distinguish between the two categories of cinematography and VFX, because I was like, oh, surely Napoleon should have been nominated for cinematography, but maybe because of how much of it was post VFX is why it didn't make that category. I'm not sure, but the standout of this, and it's a Ridley Scott kind of staple now, is the large fight sequences. Whether that be like some of the shots when he's in Egypt or when he's in the ice and stuff like that. Like really, really brutally shot film. And if a lot of the scale of it is added in post VFX, it's flawless. It's you look back to the likes of Gladiator, or I know Braveheart wasn't him, but like films like that. That's like old school. Armies upon armies fighting and that, and even Lord of the Rings. Like love Lord of the Rings and stuff, but when you see the Urukai and that it Helm's Deep in the Two Towers, like it looks great, but you know that's obviously VFX. A lot of it, like for the scale of it, like all the way back and stuff. Whereas this, I thought you couldn't really tell too much was like fake or whatever you want to call it. So again, probably a worthy nominee in this category. Thoughts on the film overall? I thought Joaquin Phoenix was great. I thought he played like an unhinged Napoleon very, very well. Vanessa Kirby as Josephine was amazing. I thought, and potentially could have been nominated in probably the supporting actress category. Again, which we'll talk about shortly. Kind of like Ridley Scott's a bit hot and cold when it comes to films like this. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. But this I thought was quite a good return to form to him. I think a lot of people were soured on this because of his attitude post release. Some of the comments that he was making, like when folk were like, "Oh, it's not historically accurate," which I get their point, but I also side with him a little bit. It's like it's not a kind of 100% accurate thing, and biopics never tend to be. So him resorted to going like, "Well, you weren't fucking there, were you?" to historians and stuff is somewhat funny. And obviously we talked a little bit about his like old man attitude towards Blade Runner 2049 last episode. So he's getting a bit of a grumpy old man because he is an old man and he is therefore grumpy. But I thought this was a really solid film. I wasn't underwhelmed by it, which I think some people were. Maybe both of you were. But I thought it was a solid entry. Was it Kubrick, I think, for years that was trying to make Napoleon.
Yeah.
And obviously it would have been amazing to see what his thoughts were on, or his vision for it was. But I think again it was the Commode review. I think they shot this, I want to say in like 60 days or something like that. It was such a short shoot for a film of this scale, and I don't think it looks rushed for me at any point or anything like that. So yeah, really, really excellent film. Not really Scott's best, but then when you're comparing it to the likes of Gladiator, it's not really going to touch it, is it? So so yeah. Anyway, Todd, Massey, want to use what I take next?
Todd?
Yes, I don't think I can really comment on the VFX more than like the battle scenes. I think the ice ones were particularly effective just because it lent something different to a biopic, or a version of a biopic. Like the print, is it Print the Myth? If like I think that works is like with this. If it's not historically accurate, so fuck. Like it doesn't mean that you have to lean into sort of Tarantino style Inglorious Bastards version of World War II. You can just have it doesn't have to be Spawn. But yeah, in terms of how it was shot, like you say, it was seamless. The VFX, the scale of the battles and things were incredible. Were absolutely fantastic. And once I'd watched the Mission Impossible video, I kind of was looking at this in the same way, where it was taking something that couldn't be done on that scale and make it that scale. That's the way I saw it. So yeah, I've got nothing to really add about the VFX. I think I might struggle to talk about them just because I was underwhelmed by it. Maybe I overhyped it a little bit for myself. I remember watching the trailer and being like, I'm going to be there for that. That looks incredible. It wasn't an awful film. I think it was just average. Like you say, what was the last supporting actress?
Vanessa Kirby.
Vanessa Kirby, yeah, like she was incredible, and Joaquin Phoenix again was fine, was good, but I don't think it was anything outstanding. It won't be something I'll go back to, but again, I don't think it's made for me. I don't think it's not a film I would seek out now. if it was a Napoleon biopic. So, yeah. Massey?
Well, the good news for you is there's apparently a 4-hour cut, so you can go back and watch
So
that. I think it's released on Apple
we'll be
TV
doing a
soon. Apparently.
podcast special on that. Is
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, when we get to the Ridley Scott episode eventually, I'm sure that'll be the standard.
Do you want to
Great.
know something disappointing about this film for you, Todd, which might make you even more underwhelmed by it? It was Jodie Comer was going to be Josephine, and then she dropped out. So it's an L for you.
It is massively. I mean, get her to play Napoleon would have been even more interesting. I'd have probably been there for it. Sorry, Massey.
As long as she does her Killing Eve accent as Napoleon, then that's all good.
There we go.
Yeah, again, similar to you guys, it's hard to talk about the VFX side of things. So there's not much to add to that. So I'm just gonna say that I thought it was a fine film. I thought it was quite good in places. I'm really excited for Vanessa Kirby being Sue Storm, by the way, as well. Just throw that in there. But yeah, I thought it was a good film. Bit overlong. But I'm excited for the 4-hour cut. Yeah, that's it. I just agree with everything you guys have said. I think it's
That's fine.
yeah, yeah. There's not much more to add, to be perfectly honest, with that one. Right, okay, so that was the last one in the VFX. So if we go through again what we want to win and what we think will win. So Collie, first of all.
I want and think Godzilla will win it.
Todd?
Yes, I think it's got nailed on, and I wanted to have it nailed on.
See, this is where it's tough for me then, because I obviously haven't seen it, but I've got want and think to the creator. I think it's a well worthy winner.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I'd seen Godzilla, I might think differently. So, we'll see. Okay, look. Let us move on to the next category, which is the best animated feature. So, the nominees are The Boy and the Heron, Nimona, Elemental, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So our first one is the Boy and the Heron. So Mahito, a young 12-year-old boy, struggles to settle in a new town after his mother's death. However, when a talking heron informs Mahito that his mother is still alive, he enters an abandoned tower in search of her, which takes him to another world. Are we on Todd now, I think? Is that right?
Yeah, but yeah.
It's probably best to start with me because, for transparency, I haven't seen it. Like, I couldn't find anywhere to watch it prior to the podcast. So, yeah. So it's probably best that you did start with me, so then you don't come to me.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. See you tomorrow. So me then, Collier saying?
Yeah, you go first, man. Yeah, fair away.
I first of all, I really enjoyed the film. I really enjoyed it. I only got into Miyazaki films like within the last couple of years. Studio Ghibli, I'd not seen them before, and he has some absolute bangers. For me, this isn't one of his better ones. It's good. I thought there was a lot of things to enjoy about it. The voice acting, of course, this is what we're talking about, the dubbed version. I thought the voice acting was.
Did you see the dubbed?
Yeah, did you not?
Okay. No, I seen subtitled.
Oh, okay. So the dub version, it was basically for Robert Pattinson, essentially. I can't read,
well,
so
that's the thing. Like after watching reviews and stuff, I want to see the dub now as well because of Pattinson playing the Heron. So
yeah, he was wonderful. Like he was like again. There's some actors that I really enjoy watching them try completely different things, and this is him going just absolutely batshit crazy. And I thought he was absolutely incredible. The animation looks beautiful. It's again, it's a Miyazaki film. It's going to. One of the things that really struck me as well, though, and one of the things that kind of elevated it for me was the sound design. I thought the sound design in this film was some of the best that I've heard this year. Just like the little like inconsequential things that are happening, but there's like a sound put to them as well. There's a load of like again, like behind the scenes sort of, or not behind the scenes, but sort of the sound design videos that are on like YouTube and stuff, and they use like practical things to make the sounds, like whether it's like tearing something for or like wind going in like flat paper and stuff like that. It's just little things like that I think make it absolutely stand out. But it's a really surreal story, really, really surreal story, and there's a load of layers to it. I think it probably warrants another view for me to maybe fully get it. But I thought it was a really good film. Collie?
Yeah, like nobody does it better than Miyazaki in this kind of Japanese animated fantasy type thing. Yeah, just on your last point there, I'll mention that first. The story is nuts. The story is bizarre, as a lot of his films are. It's kind of hard to tie it all together. But yeah, like the animation was incredible. The kind of the blurriness of the fire. It's the World War II sequence and stuff, where, right at the beginning, and there's all the fire, but it's like there's like water. I know it's not on the camera per se, but like looks like there's water droplets on the camera. So like a lot of the fires like blurred out and stuff like that. It was a weird, like an interesting animation choice on that part. And then the further you get into the film, it gets more brightly colored because it's kind of muted palette wise early on, and then the more you get into it, and the more the film becomes surreal, the more and more the colors seem to pop. Really chuffed that I got to see this on at the cinema. It really did lend itself to that. But I do look forward to watching the dubbed version because some of the cast is like Robert Pattinson, Christian Bale, Mark Hamill, Florence Pugh, Willem Dafoe, Dave Bautista. Like,
It's insane.
a strong cast. But I not to be like snobby about it. Like, I think seeing films like this in their subtitle format is the way that it's intended to be. I didn't do this because I watched trailers before it and stuff. But in Japan, I think they didn't do any press or trailers for this. Not press, but like any kind of, they didn't show much, if anything, of the film prior to it being released. That was like a Miyazaki decision. The only thing they really released was about a year before it came out, or maybe 6 months before it came out, was the poster of like the hand sketched heron. You could see the little like eye in its mouth and stuff, kind of thing. Was a hinting as to what happens in the film and stuff like that. But yeah, I won't talk too much about it because I'd like to hear Todd's thoughts on it. Does get around to it, and I don't want to spoil too much for him, but I would say that this is up here with a lot of the Ghibli Miyazaki stuff, like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. I would say this is up on that kind of A to S tier of animated. It's not like my favorite thing to watch in the world, but I can definitely appreciate it from an artistic point of view. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think I rated it like 4.5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
I think it could end up being a 5 after watching, because like I've not rated them on Letterboxd because I've not watched them since I started using it. But the likes of Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Neighbor Totoro, all that kind of stuff are like 5-star. Like the best at what they do.
Have you seen Princess Mononoke as well?
Yes.
Amazing, unbelievable. Like that was my. I think it was my first Ghibli film, and like
I wasn't
blown
sure how
away.
to say Mononoke off the top of my head, so I was like, I'll just skip saying that one. But yeah, I guess we could just move on, and Todd can maybe kick us off on the Mona. But yeah, I think like worthy, like probably the most worthy nominee in this category. And
Fair. Todd, Nimona. Oh, wait! Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah,
I might do a thingy. I might do a thing. I apologize. Just
wait until you misread it and then blame the person who wrote it. Which wasn't me, by the way.
A night is Nimona. A knight is framed for a crime he didn't commit, and the only person who can help him prove his innocence is Nimona, a shape-shifting teen who might also be a monster he's sworn to kill. Todd, take it away.
Yeah. First off, I like the style. I really like that sort of. It was a little bit different. Lent things from things we've seen before, but I can't quite put my finger on. I don't know if you would be able to sort of like point us right. I just felt like I'd seen certain elements of that animation style before, but it certainly stood out. I thought the voice acting was incredible. I'm a sort of Chloe Grace Moretz has always done great work, and you know I think she'll carry on. I think she sort of took a bit of a dip after she started doing like a remake, like Carrie again. I enjoyed the Carrie remake, and I enjoyed. Is it Let Me In? Is the American remake?
Yes. Yeah.
I enjoyed both of them. They were fine. They were decent films. I think actually Carrie was really good. But she took a bit of a dip, and she's starting to sort of climb a little bit now, and we're seeing more of her. Or certainly I feel like I'm seeing more of her. But Riz Ahmed is. I love that man. I think everything he's in, he's fantastic. Obviously, there's a standout film that one day we might just get to talk about. I don't know if we ever will. But to see him go from the likes of Four Lions into like that Hollywood space of like being in Venom was a wild experience. But yeah, I thought it was a great film, great voice acting. I thought it was good as well. We'll talk about another one coming up. When we talked about Turning Red last year, and I was like, this film is not made for me. It's got a specific message to a specific audience, and like I feel like Nimona crosses that barrier well of like be who you want to be. Everybody is, it doesn't matter who you are or what makes you up. You are a decent person. You are. But I love the character of Nimona. I thought she was like, she was almost. I don't know if you've played the Borderlands games. She was almost Tiny Tina esque. She was that sort of bombastic, like doesn't give a shit, and it's nice to see that being represented. I suppose that you don't get a lot of like young female characters who are these sort of almost anarchists. Like she just wanted to destroy, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I don't think it's up there in terms of in comparison to a couple of others, but I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Colin?
Yeah, so the animation style was really really nice. It wasn't quite like Across the Spider-Verse type stuff for the Puss in Boots one that we watched last year, but it's kind of in that realm of blending 3D and 2D, I think. Looked really good. I enjoyed the story. Be Who You Want to Be is a very good summary, I think, of the message that comes across in this. Voice acting solid, yeah, similar to you. Love Riz Ahmed, think he's excellent, and it kind of obviously when they do voices and stuff, like I couldn't tell that it was Chloe Grace Moretz sometimes. I didn't think it was like automatically, oh my god, that's her voice, whereas it was just Riz Ahmed like talking, like not in a negative way. Like I just felt like he was being very natural, like with his own accent and his own voice during it. I don't think he was putting anything on, so I think that kind of shone through as a standout performance. And yeah, the story was really good. It's kind of like it wasn't even paint by numbers. I just thought like the big twist at the beginning, obviously with him sword betraying him, I guess you could say. I wasn't really expecting that because I went into this completely blind. I didn't even watch a trailer for it beforehand. So yeah, it kind of not probably like a B tier maybe compared to some of the other ones in this category, but again a worthy nominee. Looked great, story was great, voice acting great. I mean, you can't really ask for much more when it comes to animated films, I would say. Massey, what do you think?
Yeah, again, it's hard to disagree. I think one of the things I'm just looking at my Letterboxd stuff is, and I sort of noted about the fact that like, if you feel different or you feel as an outcast or whatever, that you'll relate to the themes in this film, and we've all been there one way or another, haven't we? So it's kind of like it's almost like a broad spectrum of people that can relate to some form of themes or something in it. And yeah, the twists, like there was a few. There was that twist at the start. There was a couple towards the end and stuff as well, which I thought were pretty well done, and I didn't really see it coming. So I thought it was a very good film. It's very good. It was a fun time, as you said, Todd. It was a fun time, a fun watch. And yeah, I thought it was good. Any other thoughts on Nimona? We'll move on to the next one.
I'm fine to move on.
Cool, perfect. Okay, so the next one is Elemental. So in a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together, a fiery young woman and a go-with-the-flow guy discover something elemental. How much they actually have in common. I've totally lost. Who's next? Who's it?
It's me, I think.
Okay, go for it, Collie.
So yeah, I watched this as it came out. So quite a while ago before it was nominated. Like it was like summer last year, I think it was. I think it maybe got added to Disney Plus not long after. I think this is kind of classic Disney Pixar, in a good way. The animation of the fire and water, I think, was incredible. I think it just looked real almost, even though you could tell that you were watching an animated film. I enjoyed the story and the kind of the differences and kind of Romeo and Juliet esque. I kind of, obviously not the family kind of based thing, although a little bit, but that's more of a kind of people versus like fire people versus water people. They're not supposed to interact, whereas they kind of prove everyone wrong that they can't, that they can actually interact. Yeah, I love this film. I thought it was really, really good. Like I say, the story was really good. The voice acting great, and the standout for me with this one, and I guess it should be, because of the category that it's nominated in. But the animation style was amazing for me. Like, it's just one of probably my favorite, just looks wise, one of my favorite Pixar films. Certainly for a long, long time. Anyway, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. What about yourself, Todd?
Yeah, the animation style was where it got me, like, and how it looked, the world that they built, like crossing when the water, like the waterfalls, and they cross under it and things like that. I thought that was incredible. The film itself bored me to tears. I was just, it was I know it's quite early on. It was when they were in the arena and they were trying to talk to that woman who was just shouting and engrossed in the sport, and I was just like, this isn't for me. And I think this was the message was wonderful. I'm not having a go at that, but I think this was a turn in red for me, where I was watching just thinking, like, I get it, like, we're all different and we can work together, and it just bored me. I thought some of the voice acting was good, but not like great. Catherine O'Hara is again a standout in most things, and I enjoyed her. But yeah, like I say, it wasn't a bad film by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it wasn't badly made. It looks great, but yeah, it wasn't. It's not something I'll be like, the rotation of Disney and Pixar films that you kind of have on, just like, I'll still watch Toy Story. I'll still watch Wall-E and stuff like that. This won't factor into that. But yeah, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't for me. Massey?
Fair
Sorry,
enough.
sorry
Fair
to
enough.
just be such a
No,
downer.
absolutely. Hey, it's subjective, isn't it? So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it started off maybe just like a normal kind of Pixar film, but there was like things that then sort of, I felt kind of made it stand out a little bit. What I really liked was the fact that the leads weren't like massive names. So I didn't really notice their voices from other things, like you're talking about Riz Ahmed. I didn't really notice that with these guys, so it didn't really not take me out, but I didn't have anything else to kind of go. It was just like they were those characters kind of thing, which I thought was really good. Yeah, animation was absolutely spot on, and I thought the story was lovely. I thought it was a genuinely good story, and yeah, like I thought it was a lovely watch. I mean, personally I gave it 4 stars. I think it's one of those that, like, I don't think you'll ever beat like OG like Pixar and OG Disney sort of stuff. But I feel like this would be up there, to be perfectly honest. I thought it was a really good film, really good watch. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff with her and her dad, I thought was really good, and like when they bowed to each other at the end and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that was really, really nice. I thought.
Don't get me started.
Oh, it got me. Like it definitely got me. Because obviously the kind of crux of that is that his dad never did it to him when he was going away, and she knew that, so she did it to him as a mark of respect. I thought that was really cool.
Yep, definitely. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Robot Dreams. So a love story about friendship. Robot Dreams is a moving animated drama which explores the bond that develops between a dog and his android companion, and what happens when that connection accidentally gets severed. Todd, are we on?
To you, Massey.
Oh, it's me. Oh,
we've
sorry.
mixed up again, so
Oh,
we'll just do you next.
Okay, no worries, no problem.
Because Todd didn't see Boy in the Head. So
Oh
we'll just carry
yeah,
on.
of course, it's CEO messing things up again, but it's fine.
It's not. Carry on. And plus, I think you've got the most to say about this film. So
Yeah, that's good.
start it.
Yeah, I love this film. Like genuinely, like it's one of the ones that I put off the most watching, because I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did like other sort of like more typical animated films that were nominated. But I just thought it was like it was a special film for me. I thought the fact there was like no dialogue, again, kind of hand in hand with The Boy in the Head and the sound design that they had to make up for with the fact that there was no dialogue. I thought that was like just incredibly well done. It's tough because I don't want, like, I know we've all watched it and stuff, but it's one of those where like I don't want to spoil it too much, because if someone's not seen it and is wanting to see it, then obviously it's quite easy to kind of go down that route of spoiling it for them. But I think the whole story, just from start to finish, like the whole thing about like loneliness, and kind of overcoming that with a bit of friendship, and then how that kind of goes down and stuff as well. And then someone put it, like, I read it somewhere that it's like the animated past lives, and that was like such a really good way of putting it. I thought it was I just thought it was like unbelievably done for something that doesn't have any dialogue to convey that sort of emotion, the absolute roller coaster emotion. Was just truly special. I can't say enough about this film. I think it's one of my favorites of the year, maybe, like, generally. I've given it 5 stars on Letterboxd. Put it that way. I just thought it was absolutely magnificent, truly magnificent. Collie, thoughts?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Obviously, very different for the fact that there's no verbal dialogue in it. Use of Earth, Wind, and Fire September throughout, I thought, was excellent. And yeah, like, I think like just the storytelling was really good. I thought, like, how long is it again? It's only like an hour.
An hour 40, an hour 42.
An hour 40. Yeah, so like I thought like it was just beautifully paced. It gave it enough time to kind of like breathe, if that makes sense. And the couple of times that you think like robots being, I'm not gonna not spoil things, by the way. I'm just gonna talk about
go for it.
like when Robot thinks that he's saved and stuff like that, and then he's not, and then like when even later on when he's right back, when he thinks he's right behind Dog and his new mate. And then Rascal's like, what's he doing? Is he prodding him or whatever? Like, because he's in the kitchen. I can't remember exactly what he's doing. Is he offering him a hot? No. What does he do again? But anyway, whatever brings him out of the sequence. I just thought that kind of twists and turns weren't what I was expected in this film, but it was like a welcome thing. Yeah, the animation style I thought was really cool as well. It was set in like the 80s, and it kind of almost looks like that a little bit. It kind of looks like, I don't know why, it made me think of like Hey Arnold and stuff like that kind of cat dog kind of Nickelodeon type animation. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's one of those ones that I think I gave it 4. But if I was to watch it subsequently, and I would recommend people to watch it, and I would suggest this for like a movie night in Discord or something like that. Like, I think this could be one that grows on me. Very, very heartwarming, and again, just something different. Because as much as I enjoy Nimona, and I think I rated them both the same on Letterboxd, Nimona is a bit more like, from an animation standpoint and story standpoint, it's a bit more paint by numbers, but the message is good. Whereas this, I think, ticks a lot of boxes, and the message is good as well on top of that. So that's why I hate Letterboxd to an extent, is because not all 4-star films are equal. And I know I give you shit about that, but like it's absolutely valid.
Yeah,
Sicario, not another teen movie being the same, is ridiculous. But for these, I think I think like these can be like, and again, it's the message of obviously Nimona, so it's ironic, but it's like they can be same but different, you know, about it. But no, I really enjoyed this. Todd, what was your thoughts on this?
Yeah, one of the few notes that I wrote down was for this, and it was it blends like an old animation style. Like I think Hey Arnold's spot
It's a
on.
great show,
I think
yeah.
that you've nailed it. But so it had that sort of almost hand drawn style to it, but it had the sheen and the kind of sheen's the only way of like it being sort of upgraded with a computer, or updated with a computer, whatever. So yeah, the style of it was beautiful. The film was incredible. If not a smidge sort of devastating at times. Even just the look of, and it's very early on in the film, and again I won't say anything, but where Robot is laid down and his eyes are at the top of his head watching Dog, and I was just like, can hell, please, like, what's it like a Thursday night or something? Trying to have a nice night, like, it was phenomenal. I think again, when you're talking about like the Oscars being the pinnacle or trying something different, I think this is different. And I think it's one that, like, I think it'll, even though it's been Oscar nominated, I think it'll go under the radar a little bit. I think it'll. I think the more sort of people who talk about it, the better, just so that more people will see it. Because it was. There's nothing else I can say without going into like story and spoiler territory that I don't think is right. So yeah, it was incredible.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, let's move on to the final one in the best animated feature. So we have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So after reuniting with Gwen Stacy, Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is catapulted across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. However, when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders. He must soon redefine what it means to be a hero so he can save the people he loves most. So, Collie, take us away.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of similar to what I've said for all the animated films. Like the animation here, again, different to the other ones. It is top tier. The care and effort that goes into obviously the prequel to this and this one is I'd probably say is unparalleled. The effort that they go into, and the fact that this is like a 2 hour plus animated film, and it's all hand drawn. Just to double check that I'm on. Is it something? Is something about it being hand drawn or something? There's a lot of.
I think they've got
effort
an
that goes
AI.
into
They've got
every-
like a tool that they've hand drawn stuff into, and then it can use the computer to.
Okay, I'm not
or
rating it
something
that
like
highly
that.
then. That's lazy. That's I'm not even joking. Like
Oh,
if they're
really?
using AI, that's kind of maybe spun around on it a
I'm
little
sure
bit.
that's what it was.
It looks really good though. Like don't get me wrong. Thoroughly enjoyed the story. The voice. I mean, this is the same kind of thing for every animated film in this, but like I think that it's all top drawer across the board. Voice acting wise, animation wise, story wise. I know obviously, Massey, you're going to have a bit to discuss on the story, but going into this knowing that it was a middle film in a trilogy, I was fully prepared for it to be a cliffhanger. Why wouldn't it be? So I wasn't maybe as angry as you were upon this, but again, I'll let you talk about it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and as and when the sequel comes out, I'll be looking forward to that as well. But yeah, not too much to talk about. We could maybe after I put in our initial thoughts, we could talk about specific scenes or sequences or that. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this. Loved this. I love this. Probably a smidge less than the original, but that's because the original was so new and different, you know. Whereas this is a lot of more of the same, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Todd, Massey, what do you want to go next?
Go for it, Todd. Take it
Yeah. So yeah, I think more of the same is absolutely fair. I just think what they did was they tried other things, and I think where we talked about Maestro sort of playing it safe, I think they gambled a little bit on certain elements that maybe might not have worked for everybody else. I know we said about like we'll talk about specific scenes and stuff, but like the Gwen Stacy stuff in her house where it's almost like watercolor. I know that like after watching it and reading on Letterboxd, and it, like that took some people out of it. Like that was a different. And is it with Daniel Kaluuya with Spider Punk where he's like that almost new pages of a newspaper being like spread across the page, spread across the screen. Sorry, like stuff like that was just it takes it to that next level. As a film, I thought the original was better, but like you say, I don't think I've ever seen a film like Into the Spider-Verse, like where I've gone into it and come out so surprised and just so taken back by what they could have done. I thought like more little nods and stuff. I thought Oscar Isaac was fantastic, like as that sort of obviously not the bad guy, but he's trying to do it for the right reasons. That sort of grey area anti-hero type thing. Again, the returning cast were absolutely brilliant. And was it Schwartzman who played
the blob? Yeah, well, the spot.
yeah,
Sorry, spot.
the Spot? Yeah, like I thought.
I was thinking about myself there. Apologies.
Blob.
The blob.
Like there's that wacky sort of like absolutely no name bad guy turning into this like all powerful being type thing was really cool, and I thought he did a great job. Yeah, I think I'm contradicting myself from when I was talking about Guardians suffering from being Disney. Like I think regardless of the studio behind this. It's so good and it's so different. Like, it's hard to look past it as a serious contender.
Yep.
Massey?
Yeah, again, I've kind of made clear my criticisms about this movie, about the ending and stuff like that as well. And like, I know I get shit for it, but it's just one of those things that's always going to kind of bug me. But the rest of the movie is amazing. Like, it's unbelievable. I do think it's interesting to say that people didn't like the watercolor Gwen Stacy universe kind of thing, because I thought that was one of the stronger points of it. The way that the watercolors got like heavier and stuff as well. Like, the more the kind of story went on and things, I thought like that was great. And I thought the world building for each universe having completely separate like ways of animation, even when they were in the universe we know, because we had obviously the Vulture from like that the paper sort of universe, like the oldie time, or like the Da Vinci Vulture, whatever it's called, like having him imported into the universe that we know of Miles of sorry, it was Gwen Stacy's universe, wasn't it? Like, seeing things like that and the contrast between the two different styles, I thought was like just unbelievably well done. The fact that Miguel O'Hara was, as you say, not a villain, but the story also let us empathize with both sides of it, with Miles's reasoning for not going with what Miguel O'Hara thought they had to do, because that would then obviously essentially kill his father, or that's what he thought, and even him trying to stopping the Cannon event from happening in, was it Mumbattan, I think they called it, where was like the Indian sort of place. Like, I thought that was a really strong way to show us the two sides of the coin, and let us empathize with both of it. So I thought that was great. I thought it was an epic tale, and again, I thought it looked phenomenal. Like you guys said, though, I think the first one for me is a perfect film. Like, I would rather rewatch the first one, or no, if I had a choice between watching either one of them, I would always choose Into Spider-Verse. Just for me, it might be that it's something that for me holds a bit more sort of nostalgia, I suppose, as well. But it's not to say it's a bad film. I think it's a fantastic film until the last bit, the last, like, probably the last 10-15 minutes, if that even. And that's just what sort of deflated me. But that's just my own thoughts. And I've said before, with the Beyond the Spider-Verse coming out, I'm sure that being able to watch them all together, or at least 2 and 3 together, will completely help in that sort of thing, and complement each other. But I think this one's a great film. I really do. I get 4.5 stars on Letterboxd both times I watched it. So yeah, I very much enjoyed this film. Anything else on that, or are we happy with animated?
Oh, good.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so again, thinking about what we want to win and what we think will win in the best animated feature. So, Collie, go for it.
Want and think Boy and the Heron will win.
Cool. Todd?
Yeah, obviously I'm skewed because I haven't seen Boy and the Heron, but I think Across the Spider-Verse will win it. I want Robot Dreams to win it.
Yeah, same as you, Todd. I want Robot Dreams to do it as well, but I think Spider-Verse will take it. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. Okay, doke. Let's move on to the the next category, which is the worst picture. It's going to also be, if you're not aware, it's going to be on the Razzies as opposed to the Oscars. The Razzies is like the night before the Oscars. So in the worst picture, the nominations were The Exorcist Believer, Expendables, Meg 2 The Trench, Shazam Fury of the Gods, and Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. So the first one is The Exorcist Believer. So when his daughter Angela and her friend Catherine show signs of demonic possession, it unleashes a chain of events that force single father Victor Fielding to confront the nadir of evil. Terrified and desperate, he seeks out Chris McNeil, the only person alive who's witnessed anything like it before. Are we at Todd?
I think it's Todd. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
So as like, and I keep saying this as like the resident horror guy. Like, I don't have a big affinity for the original Exorcist. I don't know if it's because of the hype. It was one of the 3 films I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid. We had free roll of anything except 3 films, and one of them was The Exorcist. I don't know if it was because of the hype. I don't know if I watched it too late. Can see why it's groundbreaking. It's not for me. So I went into this relatively sort of like open-minded, and it was dog shit. It was so fucking boring. It was paint by numbers. It was paint by numbers. This new sort of string of horror that's come out. It was so shit. I rated it a little bit higher. I don't remember where I rated it, and the only reason I give it the score I did was because of Leslie Odom Jr. actually acting. Like, he put a performance in that if you put that in any other film, you'd be like, that's a decent that's a good performance. He did well with it. I just thought it was stupid. And the thing that really finished me off with it, the thing that really pissed me off was the Avengers of different religions all coming together to defeat the demon, and the fact that if they were going to lean that hard into it, when that priest came in at the end, like, they needed one more priest to fucking sort it out, and like, please just understand how bad your film is and have that priest say on your left. Like, that's all I'm asking for, and just lean into it as far as possible, because it was like, it was boring and it was bland, and then it dived into the stupid. It dived into the sort of like, what's the point? And this was probably, I'll just go with this now, the best worst for me personally, the best worst picture out of the
Wow.
nominees. This was the better of the, and I think it's because of Leslie Odom Jr. God bless him, tried his hardest. Collie.
The fact that Universal have paid $400 million for the rights to this franchise, and the fact that this made profit of like 100 million befuddles me. Not being a horror fan, having seen the original a couple of times, like, it doesn't even touch the original. Like, it was fucking awful. It was so bad, and even I'm not even giving Leslie Odom Jr. any credit. Like, I thought it was just crap. It felt like it just felt like one of those, like, you know, all the rights have expired. We're going to talk about a film like this, but the rights have expired on something, and some other fucking nobody's like went, oh yeah, I'll just, like, you know, try and cash in on the name alone. And yeah, it was just boring. Like you say, it wasn't boring. Didn't find it particularly scary or creepy. And yeah, the sequence that done it for me again was the Avengers type thing that you touched on, Todd. Like, atrocious, absolutely atrocious. I only got half a star on Letterboxd because I couldn't give it 0. I'm gonna say that a few times in this category, but yeah, fucking wank. I say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, it's one of those where apparently there's going to be 2 more films, and they've like greenlit them. It's going to be a trilogy, apparently.
So I think they will make them though, because
they've
it's made
spent so
money.
much. Yeah.
Well, because it made money though as well. Like, not just like the money they've spent, but it's made money. It made 100 million profit somehow.
Insane.
I don't know, like,
absolutely insane. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all. You're absolutely right. I think it's just so boring. Like, there's nothing that's like, for me, like a big sort of drawing. I must admit, I'm with Todd on this. I think Leslie Odom Jr. does the job. I think he does pretty well, comparatively. I don't know if that's because of my Hamilton sort of like bias. It might be, because to be honest, actually in my review I've said Adam Burr is probably the best part. So it could very well be that my Hamilton bias is coming out here. But it feels like such a massive missed opportunity for me. Like, they could have, with the rights for Exorcist, you can make a really affecting horror film for the new generation. That could be, you know, that could stand up to the original, or at least be like, you know, the next wave of the original. it's not. It's not even scary. Like I didn't find it scary whatsoever. And for me, well, as a horror film with such steep history with the Exorcist franchise or the Exorcist, certainly the original, like surely the one thing you'd want is for it to be like a scary film, and it's not.
Yeah, I'm like a complete scaredy cat. Sorry to interject there, but and I didn't get scared, like unsettled at this at once, and sorry just to go off on a quick tangent, but like we did an episode on Robert Eggers. Give somebody like him something like this, like an existing IP or something like that at some point, and let him do his own take on it, and he would do so well with it. That's the thing that annoyed me the most is that I wanted it to be good, and I'd hoped for it to be good, similar to what Todd said, and it just wasn't. Just wasn't. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's. I mean, to be fair, yeah, I was basically done anyway.
Fucking shite.
Well, it just on the sequels, the pushing ahead with them. So the next one's called Deceiver. I've just had a look there, but David Gordon Green he's left.
Oh, he's left.
No, he's left it. So yeah, look, he was
Mortal Earth, hopefully. Sorry,
to do the 3. He was down to do the trilogy, and he's since left. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Deceiver, but it is going to happen.
The thing is, like he did the first Halloween of like the most recent trilogy, right?
He did the lot.
He did the lot, but I'm saying, but like similar to a film that I don't think we won't talk about it, the Dial of Destiny for Indiana Jones, because it's in none of the categories. That gets given to James Mangold, who I think gave an amazing send off to Wolverine and Logan, right? So when he's getting given likely the send off of Indiana Jones, I'm all for it, and then it's fucking shit. And it's the same as this. Like David Gordon Green did the first of the most recent Halloweens, which I thought was excellent. I thought that was really good. Rest of the trilogy was shit, but he gets given like a reboot of The Exorcist. I'm like, oh, surely it's going to be good then if he did that with Halloween, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like it's. Our mate Adam says this to me all the time, Massey, both being Leeds fans, but it's the hope that kills you, and it was literally that with this film. It was just, as soon as I seen it was the worst picture, I wasn't holding out much hope, but I was like, surely it can't be that bad, and it really was. It really, really was.
Good times. Shall we move on to the next one then? So
fucking if you have to.
We have Expendables. So armed with every weapon they can get their hands on. But it is. It is though, Expendables. Yeah. Armed with every weapon they can get their hands on, the Expendables are the world's last line of defense, and the team that gets called when all other options are off the table. I think it's me, isn't it?
Fucking whatever.
It's a bad film. It really is genuinely a bad film. Terrible CGI, no plot, cheesy dialogue, but I kind of enjoyed it. I am in no way saying it's good whatsoever. But like there was like some things that like I don't know, inexplicably I was just like, yeah, okay, kind of get that. Jason Statham being the lead, like, I thought he was funny. I thought he was like taking over from Sylvester Stallone, and the whole kind of like, I guess we can spoil these, right? It's okay to spoil these.
Yeah. Go for it.
The bait and switch of Sylvester Stallone dying and Jason Statham kind of taking over, and then Sylvester Stallone coming back in the helicopter. Like,
sorry, you believe that he was actually dead?
Yeah, I did because he wasn't
a fucking idiot, man. You are an idiot, dude.
I was there, but I think I was sort of like, all right, what's next? Do you know what I mean? Like I was there. Yeah, I believed it, but I haven't seen any of these films. I'd like to point out. Sorry, Matthew.
No, that's fine. I found fun of that. I thought Megan Fox was all right. I thought she did well as like, or not well. I thought she did okay as the kind of female sort of version, or the female mercenary, I suppose. And Randy Couture as well, talking about his little about his cauliflower ear the whole time. Again, this might be some UFC bias coming out, but like him and his cauliflower ear, I I found to be quite funny. The fact it's $100 million budget though is ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
that's money laundering. I'm sorry. Like there's no other excuse for that. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I had a little bit of fun with it. I gave it 2 stars, by the way. So it's not like it's not a massive film. It's not like a it's not like a 4-star like Sicario. But it's a 2-star film. Call
What film earlier was it that you gave 2.5 star?
Creator. But again, we've said that like there's different.
You're a fucking moron.
Oh god. Collie, thoughts on Expendables?
Fucking oh mate, like so bad. Like this was the first one I watched because I was like, this is probably going to be the most palatable one out of them all. And it was not. It was not. You know, like sometimes you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and you get like the random adverts for like a random mobile game or something like that come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what some of the VFX on this film looked like. There was a sequence on like a runway with a plane. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but it looked fucking. Is it when they're trying to drive on the plane with a jeep or some shit, or they're doing something with a jeep and a plane?
Wasn't it?
Yes, it was right at the start, and it infuriated me. It absolutely infuriated me, and it set me up to just not enjoy the film. Like, like first 2 films in this, like perfectly fine. 3 was terrible, and this is somehow even worse. Like, just rubbish. Like I'm all for like cheesy lines and fight sequences. That bar sequence was crap. Again, really bad. Like, not even like I didn't even crack a smile at some of the stuff they were saying. Just bad, like just outrageously bad.
With Eddie Hall turning up as well.
Oh, why are you employing somebody who can't act? I'm sure he's a lovely bloke. Don't come and kick me head in, but the boy can't act.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Go on, carry on.
No, I just fucking shite again. Like I don't know what you want to say. Just terrible, just absolutely terrible. And thank fuck it made like a $50 million loss.
Mm-hmm.
Just outrageously bad.
Yeah, the first Expendables film I've seen, and I won't be watching anymore. Like even like I know you said that the first 2 were all right, like fine. I'm not.
They're still like 4
like
out of 10 or whatever, like a 2 out of 5 or whatever. Like,
yeah, I'm not. So I went into this, and there was a couple of reviews. It's one of the only films I looked at reviews for beforehand, where they were like, Megan Fox was good. Megan Fox was good. There wasn't a performance in this I liked. I've written it down and I've videoed it, and I will send you the video. The sound editing was that bad. They use, and it has to be a hardcore metal band, you know, like the bleh, BLEGH, that noise that they do.
Yes.
That's what somebody gets stabbed and they use that noise. It's awful shit. Like it was, and you know what? When what's his mouth? From the raid, his name's gone. Eco Oasis. When he showed up at the beginning, and I was like, right, all right. So they've got a legitimate, like, yes, they've got these like age and acting stars, but like, he's a legitimate martial artist. He's going to bring some credit to the film, and he didn't. That was a look how they've massacred my boy. And then the plot was like, I said if it was like an Xbox 360 game that I could play through when I was 14 or 15 or whenever I got the Xbox, I don't know how old I was when I got the 360, but like, I'd have probably enjoyed it. But as a film with bad actors, bad CGI, it just pissed me. I just got bored. I think I was surprised when Sly Stallone came back more because I just disengaged from the film entirely. Do you know what I mean? I was probably just staring off into space while I was watching it. It was shit. Yeah. I've got nothing else to add other than it was dog shit.
Oh, shout out to 50 Cent as well. What a man.
Andy Garcia was fucking crap as well. Fuck me.
Did that like sort of switch not surprise you though when he turned out to be the bad guy?
No.
So sorry, just as well. What was the thing about like your bloke who like was on about like golden showers? Like that was completely out of left field. Like there wasn't any context. We just started talking about what he liked to do, and then somebody go, oh, he likes that, and then he went off the rails. Like, and then he stopped talking. It was the script was. It just didn't make any sense.
Todd, don't try
Sorry.
and apply logic for fuck's sake.
No,
Man.
that's part of the problem. Let's move on.
Andy Garcia was like just. I know everyone was bad in it, but like far departure from like Ocean's 11 and stuff like that. Like the guy can be a good antagonist, and he's just fucking waste of space in this.
Brilliant. Right, let's move on to the next one. It is Meg 2: The Trench. So Jonas Taylor leads a research team on an exploratory dive in the deepest depths of the ocean. Their voyage spirals into chaos when a malevolent mining operation threatens their mission and forces them in a high-stakes battle for survival. Pitted against colossal prehistoric sharks and relentless environmental plunders, they must outrun, outsmart, and outswim their merciless predators. Where are we? Collie? No?
Oh, I'll go ahead again. Yeah, fucking rubbish, man. Like, again, just utter crap. Like, I watched the first one in the cinema and I was furious at that. And like, people will say, and people have said to me, "Oh, but surely you go into these films like expecting them to be crap." I'm like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to rate them like low as I feel that they are. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what, it's terrible, but I'll give it like 2 stars or whatever. And fine if either of you do that, whatever. But like, if I feel that this is a half a star, like a 1 out of 10, I'll mark it as a 1 out of 10. And this was a 1 out of 10. I thought it was fucking shite as well. Like, the fact that this made $400 million at the box office is fucking insane. Like, it is insanity. And by that account, there's going to be more of them. There's going to be more of them. At least with Sharknado, like, Sharknado doesn't take itself seriously, and folk will be like, oh, this film doesn't take itself. This film takes itself 100% seriously. Like, it knows it's stupid and stuff like that, but it doesn't downplay anything. And the whole fucking cliche of like, oh, there's guys fucking mining in the Mariana Trench, like why? Why is that a thing? Like, it's fucking. Again, like, I'm trying to apply logic to a film like this, and it's just fucking stupid. And it so infuriates me because, like, Jason Statham in The Expendables, he's bad, but the film is bad, and in this the film's bad as well. But like, I just get so annoyed. I think I know he can do better. He could do films like Hummingbird, or I can't remember the alternate name for that film, and when he's like a homeless veteran and stuff like that, and all that kind of jazz. Like, he can act, he can definitely act, and then when he does stuff like this, man, it's just fucking shite. It's so underwhelming and annoying. And like, I like a good shark film. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously Jaws is like the all-time shark film, but like, see stuff like Deep Blue Sea, I can watch a shark film that's not like sensible and thoroughly enjoy it. But no, these Meg films are just too much for me. I fucking hate them.
What?
And I'm not being like an elitist film like goer or whatever. Like, I'll watch films that are like quote unquote shite and suspend belief and enjoy them, but I just didn't find any enjoyment from this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was, so I'll kind of just take here, but I hadn't seen the first one, but I knew that it was like, I thought that there were like silly films, like you said, like the Sharknado, like not take yourself too seriously stuff. But that was kind of one of the, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but that was one of the things that I kind of felt was really wrong with it. It was like, either lean into being absurd and like gory, and or give us like an actual serious plot. It's almost like it kind of doesn't know what way to go, and that makes it just super messy and like and not great. I thought the Megalodons looked really good though, like in terms of VFX and stuff. I thought it looked really cool.
Oh,
but
yeah, I'm not going to belittle that. Like,
yeah.
I just didn't enjoy the film from the kind of the tone of the film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's the only thing I can say was passable about it. I thought the rest of it was absolute dog shit, like horrendously bad. It just like, yeah, I feel like it didn't know which way to go into. It should have leaned into the more absurdity and gore and stuff, but it wasn't even really like gore in that. And it was just, at the end of it, I was just like, that was terrible. I think I actually ended up, I was like halfway through it and I was like, I can't do this. So I put it on to like the 1.25, I think it was, just to try and get done quicker. And like, that's as much I can say about it, as like, I wanted it to be finished. That's how bad I found it. And I quite enjoyed Expendables. Like, that kind of says it all. So, yeah. Todd?
Yeah, like, just to, like, I can't really expand on anything else other than they kept making Jaws references, and I'm not precious about like Jaws is an incredible film, one of my favorites, but like I'm not precious about it. Do you know what I mean? Like people can make references to it. Stop fucking making references to it because your film is shit, and like they're not even close. They're not comparable. That really pissed me off. It just I haven't seen the first one either. I haven't seen the first one. But more than anything, it's the fact that it was Ben Wheatley. Like Ben Wheatley's a director who I respect because mainly because he sorry I do still respect him greatly mainly because he made films that were for himself or that he wanted to make. Like In the Earth is left field as they're going to come. I know High Rise was really divisive. Free Fire's
Free Fire's
amazing. Like
class.
anyway,
So good.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I didn't particularly rate High Rise, but Free Fire I thought it's a fantastic film, and Sightseers as well.
so, yeah, have you seen Rebecca as well? It's a Netflix thing. It's like the plot. It's like it's based on I think it's a Bronte novel, but like it shouldn't work, and it does. He does a great job with it.
Lily
You know,
Hammer's in it. Lily James and Armie Hammer, sorry, are in it. So yeah,
Lilyhammer.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good film. This was fucking shocking. It was so shit. And again, I'll admit openly that I have watched it once. I watched it on 1.25 from the beginning because I wasn't in the mood in the first place. I think about 10, maybe 15 minutes into the push, I went to 2. And that, as you know, that is Collie's trick, not mine. I can't do 2 times. I watched this in double speed because I was just like, "Fuck, this is stupid." Yeah, not good. I give it a half star again.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to the next film, which is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So, bestowed with the power of the gods, Billy Batson and his fellow foster kids are still learning how to juggle teenage life with their adult superhero alter egos. When a vengeful trio of ancient gods arrives on Earth in search of the magic stolen from them long ago, Shazam and his allies get thrust into battle for their superpowers, their lives, and the fate of the world. I think, Todd, do you want to take us away?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was good fun with the character that I didn't know a lot about. And then I thought this one was just bland. I thought like where I think you could call Expendables, The Meg, and another film that we're about to talk about as like offensively bad. This wasn't offensively bad. It was just bland. I don't think it deserves a Razzie necessarily. But it just bored me, and I thought everything was so. I don't like. Hey kids, like what you call Steve Buscemi
Stevie Sammy.
with the skateboard. Hey,
Hello,
how
fellow
we doing,
kids.
fellow kids? Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what it felt like. Hello, fellow kids, the movie. That's what it felt like. As in, like we use TikTok too, and we do this, and like just I've recently watched the Mean Girls movie, and there was a lot of the musical, and there's a lot of backlash about stop using TikTok in films, but that's relevant to that film because that's what it's based on. This was just, it was just bland, forced. I don't think anybody. Helen Mirren just looked like she was there, got a bit of money, and went like, "I'm the quintessential English bad guy," and then fucked off again. And it didn't tick any boxes for me. I give it 2 stars. I don't think I can spend much more time on it than that. Again, not awful, just not good either. Massey.
Yeah, it was all right. It was okay. I really liked the first one. I thought the first one felt fresh. This one didn't feel as fresh for me, which is a shame. I thought one of the things that really didn't work was, of course, Helen Mirren, yeah. But Zachary Levi playing Shazam and the kid playing Billy were like 2 completely different characters. In the first one, it was like when he was Shazam, he was still a kid. But in this one, the kid felt more grown up than Shazam did. So when he changed from the kid to Shazam, it was a weird tonal shift because he felt like the Shazam from the first one and not like the kid that had a bit of character development in this one. So that was kind of a weird sort of thing for me. I didn't like the family. I thought the family were just a bunch bunch of wet lettuces. I didn't think they had much personality or anything to them. There was some fun set pieces though. It was all right. It just feels like it was a missed opportunity. I didn't mind Lucy Liu. I like Rachel Ziegler. I think she was pretty. She was all right as well. It's just like it's one of those where it's like completely middle of the road. Feels like a missed opportunity. But I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like it. They knew that the DCEU was ending, and they just kind of like plopped this out. Really, that's kind of how I felt about it. Collie?
Just to quote Alan Partridge here, can I just shock you? I liked this. I actually enjoyed this film. Definitely not worthy of being nominated for this compared to the other four. So I gave this 2.5 out of 5. And collectively, for the other four, I gave them half a star each. So this film itself got half a star more than all 4 other ones combined. So yeah, I thought like I get the tonal shift thing between Zachary Levi and Asher Angel as the young, or sorry, as Billy and as Shazam. But I thought Zachary Levi's great. I love him anyway. I think he's a great actor. Like I think he does comedy very well. I think he's just a very charismatic dude when it comes to acting. So I really enjoyed him in the first one. This is definitely it's definitely a step down from the first one. And I wholeheartedly agree with like, they knew that this was going to be the end of the DCEU, so they had to just do something with it anyway before like the contracts expired or whatever the fuck, like that kind of thing. But I thought it was perfectly fine. Helen Mirren was terrible. I'm surprised she didn't get an Oscar nomination because she seems to just get them anyway. But I thought is it Ziegler or Zegler?
I think it said Ziegler, but it's like spelled Zegler.
Ziegler. I thought she was good. Not that I didn't say that like I wasn't surprised by the twist per se because it was kind of a little bit led on, but I thought her character was interesting enough. The family, in terms of the children and that, like I didn't find them that interesting, but I really like Cooper Andrews as the foster dad though. I thought he was funny. There was some good moments with him. I think he's a very kind of, again, a really good like comedy type actor, like very physical comedy kind of. He looks like a funny dude, if that makes sense. Like he uses that kind of like, he can make you laugh kind of thing. I did think like CGI in this was that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It kind of descends into the kind of Marvel DC trope of big CGI battle at the end, which is fine. Lucy Liu wasn't very good either, but overall, like I don't have too much to add to this. I just feel like it's unfair to be in this category alongside those other films. So also was I meant to do this with the other films, I forgot, but it was also nominated for Worst Actress for Helen Mirren and Worst Supporting for Lucy Liu. They were nominated. I want to go back quickly just because I missed out doing this for the other one. The Exorcist was the one for The Exorcist. Where is it? Here, worst screen couple. Any 2 money grubbing investors who donated the 400 million for remake rights to The Exorcist. Which I thought was like fair. And then where's the Expendables one? So the Expendables was nominated for 7 Razzies. Worst picture, worst director, worst supporting actress for Megan Fox, worst supporting actor Sylvester Stallone, worst screen couple, any 2 mercenaries, and then worst remake sequel, and then worst screenplay. But yeah, I feel like this film's a little bit hard done by. This was nominated. Sorry, I've read that out. Yeah, so it was picture, actress, supporting actress, and screenplay. Which I don't think it's harsh on the actress and actress, supporting actress ones. Like, fair enough, they were the weakest points of this. But for this to be in worst picture, I thought was harsh. Was a little bit harsh. But yeah, not too much to say more on this. And yeah, I just want this category over and done.
Well, luckily for you, we're on to the last one here. And the last one in the worst picture is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Years ago, a young Christopher Robin meets and befriends a group of anthropomorphic creatures, owl, rabbit, Eeyore, Piglet, and Winnie the Pooh in the 100-acre woods. After Christopher leaves them for college, added to the arrival of winter and no food to eat, the starved creatures sacrifice Eeyore and vow to return to their feral instincts. Todd, do we got? Or Joe, sorry.
Yeah, I can start with this one. So see the opening sequence of this film, the animated bit, and the story that you just read out as the synopsis. I think for a horror film, that sounds class, to be honest. Like, I think, like, I wouldn't say I was excited for this, but I was interested enough in it because, you know, the rights to Winnie the Pooh had went into the open market, so to speak. You just weren't allowed to infringe on, like, Disney's styling of it or whatever, which is good because, like, this was just, you know, two dudes in masks in this film. But yeah, as soon as that animated bit at the beginning ends, just fucking atrocious. Like, I've been harsh on. Sorry, compared to how bad this was, I would say I was harsh on the other ones in this category because this one is like that bad. £100,000 or dollars or whatever it is for a budget is like 99,000 too much. It's so bad. It looks terrible. It's shot terribly. The acting is nuts. The acting like is insane. Like there's a bit that stood out to me. It was when there's like "Get Out" written in blood on the window, and one of them's like, "That must have been written by the person who's doing this," and you're like, "Well, obviously. What do you mean?" Like, dude, it was just fucking. I was raging watching this, like actually, like just seething for the whole thing. Like the other ones, I was just rolling my eyes and was just disappointed with a lot of them. You know, not shocked at them being bad, but disappointed. Whereas this, like, it was worse. I couldn't have thought up a worse film than watching this. I think I would say this is probably the worst film I've ever watched in my life. Like literally the worst. It does student movies like a disservice, I would say. Some of this, it was fucking awful, terrible. I can't even think of like worse, like worse words. Like just dude, like somebody else talk, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of piggyback on what you were saying there. I completely agree about about the first like 2 minutes. I think it's an interesting premise, and then it just goes off a cliff, like Tom Cruise in Dead Reckoning Part 1.
It was a CGI cliff.
Oh, CGI cliff, yeah. It's just terrible. It's just like, even just like the look of the animals and stuff. It's just terrible. It just looks like folk in masks. There's no sort of like thing. There's no original or no sort of like finesse to it whatsoever. It is just purely terrible. There's gratuitous nudity as well. Like they just like get tits out. Not complaining too much, but it's just absolutely like it's so bad. Like it's one of those things that sometimes if a movie is so bad, it's not good, but it's worth a watch. Like Troll 2, which is terrible, but you can laugh at some things because it's so stupid. Like I wouldn't even recommend anyone watching this as like a so bad it's good sort of watch party. It's terrible. Like do not even bother with it. It's genuinely that bad. It's hard to say much more because it's so bad. But Todd, do you want to take over and say what you think?
Yeah, I can do. Like I'm with Collie. And I've watched some shit in my time. I genuinely think it's the worst film I've ever seen. And I'll talk quickly, and I apologize for like blasting through a lot because I don't want to dwell on the negative too much. But it really fucks me off that this was made and was given so much like credence and so much fucking publicity, like as if it was a thing. This director, so I got a couple of things up because Reese Frake Waterfield, he's called, quit his job at EDF Energy in 2021. After entering the film industry, he produced 36 feature films in the span of 2 years. So fuck him, because he's making all that. And then he did an AMA on fucking Reddit. I am the destroyer of childhood memories with a life goal to ruin all 7 billion. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, our controversial independent horror film, is the first step. It's not that it's controversial, it's that it's shit. I like B-movie horror films. Like, it's a genre. It's an actual genre where people take tropes from exploitation films, from like that B-movie idea, and make films with that idea behind it. It was offensively bad, not because I'm offended by nudity or murder or Winnie the Pooh was a big part of my childhood. It was the fact that, no, like I said, no one could act. There was no direction, no idea of a character or creatures. The kills looked shit. The gore was shit. the fact that it like was so exploitative, but not to a point where it was sticking to a genre convention, that it was sticking to a fucking let's see how edgy we can be. That's what he is. He's a little 4chan edgelord who's trying to make films to upset people, and it like genuinely out of all of the films I've watched, it really annoyed me. And the fact that IGN and like look what's happening with the sequel, and he's producing a Bambi film where Bambi gets revenge on the hunters. Like, this guy people need to be able to say like this is shit, and he needs to stop making films rather than going to watch them for the fun of it. Like, it's not even The Room bad. It's not even The Room bad, you know. And where I could laugh at the other ones, I can't laugh at this. Sorry. I tried to be as quick as I could. I could go on for days. It really pissed me off.
It made $5 million apparently.
Ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. He needs to go back to EDF Energy. Give him his job back. Let's cut our losses.
Some would say working for EDF is just as exploitative as the movie he made here.
Oh, we're getting political. Anyway, dog shit. That's me finished.
It's just like just reading up on like updates on the sequel and that. It's like in August 2023, Frake Waterfield announced that Pooh will use a chainsaw as a weapon in the sequel. Fucking, I'm hitting my mic and all sorts, man. Like, it just made me want to punch my monitor in when I was watching it. I'll be real, like, it's fucking. Oh man,
amazing.
And the budget's gonna be 5 times as big for the next one. Fuck me. What's the guy gonna do with it, man? What's the guy gonna do with it?
Sorry, one of the questions was, how did you come up with the idea to turn Pooh and Piglet into bloodthirsty murderers? His response was, I couldn't think of anything more ridiculous, so it had to do. Fuck him. He's not a filmmaker. Well, obviously he is, unfortunately, but he's out there just fucking pulling ideas out of his ass.
What I wonder is he the Tommy Wiseau type guy that made this film seriously? Like deadly seriously, showed it to people or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, this is so like over the top, stupid, it's bad," kind of thing. And now he's just leaning into it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, is he now being like, "Oh, it was all supposed to be shit all along," and it's 100% not? You know, it's 100% supposed to have been serious.
That's not a bad shout, you know.
Because that's what happened with The Room, was that he made it as a serious film.
Yeah.
The premiere, everyone was laughing at it, and then he was like, it was supposed to be a comedy all along. So, you know, is that what this guy's? I don't fucking know. He can fuck off. Fuck off even further after that.
Okay, so... Oh, sorry, do you have something else to say there? You have enough?
No, sorry, I was just decompressing, I think.
Fair enough. I don't blame you. Right, so worst picture. What do you want to win? What do you think will win? Collie?
Well, Winnie the Pooh for both. Has to be. If it doesn't win, then I don't know. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll be very upset.
Todd?
Yes. Winnie the
Yeah, same. It has to, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah. Oh gosh.
I hope it sweeps the whole Razzies. It's nominated for picture, director, worst screen couple, worst prequel, remake, rip-off, sequel, and worst screenplay. I hope it wins them all.
It has to. Absolutely has to.
And the guy will be like, "Oh, it was all supposed to be shit anyway." Yeah. Take a flying fuck to yourself.
Okay. So going from worst to a best category, back to the Oscars now. We are going into the best supporting actress. Now, I'm just looking at timing as well. We've got 2.5 hours. We can probably crack these out until, 1 o'clock? It's like 40 minutes? Yeah. We'll see.
We talked a lot about the films that we... So, some of them at least. So, we'll be able to,
be more specific kind of thing. But yeah, it's fine. We might hit 5 hours again, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, best supporting actress. So the best supporting actress nominees are Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Naiad, and then Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. So let's start off obviously with Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer. We have spoke about obviously the a bit about the film. So now going specifically about Emily Blunt's performance. So Todd, do you want to start us off? I think Colin, you started off Winnie the Pooh, didn't you?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I've blurred the last 20 minutes out of my fucking mind forever.
Just blacked out, and Emily Blunt was out of this world. She sort of took on this role of, and obviously she's playing a real person, so it's not like a created character or whatever. But the power that she had as a performer, not the character, as a performer, made her stand out as well as as Cillian Murphy, as Robert Downey Jr. Like, I thought she was incredible. I think the standout moment was the handshake. Like, that for me was just it was so. I think I'm going to use this about a couple of people, but it was measured, and that's what I loved about her. She wasn't trying to be over the top. She wasn't trying to be this Lady Macbeth sort of character, telling him what to do or whatever. But she also wasn't the sort of the wallflower who was going to sit by and let it happen. Yeah, I thought she was. I think it's her best performance, and I rate Emily Blunt. I really do. I think it's probably the best performance she's ever put in. Colin?
Yeah, a lot of the same of what you're saying. Measured is a perfect way to do it, and for me, the standout is when she's being interrogated by Jason Clarke, Roger Robb, the attorney, and then when she's just firing back to him, going, "I don't like your phrase." Like, that was just like, that blew me away at the time. I was like, "Fucking hell!" Like, just the balls on this lady, or this performance, essentially. Like, because even from when they first talk to each other in front of that cabinet at the house party, he knows she's married and stuff like that, but there's an instant chemistry between the two of them. And then throughout the film, obviously, there's the bit when she's obviously drinking loads and she's getting upset about the kid, and he comes home and the kid's screaming and stuff, and she's like, "I've looked after him all day," or whatever she says specifically. Just excellent, just powerful. When she goes to comfort Robert after obviously Florence Pugh's character's passed away, and find him, and she's just like, "Nah, you've got to do this. You've got to be stronger than this. Forget all what's going on." That interaction was really, really strong. And then the kind of staring at Safdie's character when he offers her the handshake, it's just like, oh, he knows he's fucked up, and all she's doing is just not shaking his hand and looking at him if looks could kill kind of deal. It was she was incredible in this. We're going to talk about this film obviously more tomorrow, and well, actually in the next category as well. But yeah, she stands shoulder to shoulder with some of the best acting performances I would say that have ever been put in. She holds her own in every single scene that she's in. Massey, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's you're absolutely right. I think, again, as you said, measured is perfect for her performance. It's just outstanding. I think she's absolutely wonderful. And in a film that there's a load of sort of big strong characters, funnily enough, the woman seems to come off. I'm not being misogynistic or anything here, but the woman is the one that's almost the true power behind a lot of things. I thought she was absolutely wonderful, and did a lot of acting. Obviously, actors can read lines and stuff and say them certain ways, but just her physicality, we'll talk about someone obviously tomorrow when we talk about other best actors and stuff, but her physicality was more understated, but it was still there as a kind of reminder of what she can hold her own, essentially, which I thought was super well done from Emily Blunt. Absolutely. Okay, we'll pop on to the next one. So, or unless you guys have anything else to say about Emily Blunt.
Oh, no.
Cool. Right, so the next in the best supporting actress is Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. So we've not spoken about Color Purple yet, so I'll just quickly run through that. So the movie tells the story of a young African American girl named Celie Harris, and shows the problems African American women faced during the early 20th century, including domestic violence, incest, pedophilia, poverty, racism, and sexism. Celie is changed as she finds her self-worth through the help of two strong female friends. It's myself then starting this one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Color Purple is not one that we'll speak about the rest of the time, so kind of thinking of it as a whole, kind of going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know it was a proper musical, because I believe there was a book that the original film was based on, and it went to Broadway, and then this is based on the musical off of it.
That's right.
So I didn't really know that going into it. It's a really interesting film. It's a really kind of I would say a really well made film. It made me kind of think a bit about when we spoke about West Side Story, and how the sort of like the tone of the music kind of fits exactly off. I know that's how musicals work and stuff like that. Like fits like kind of what's happening in the scene and stuff. But I feel like it really worked as a musical. There wasn't like things where it was like, oh god, like that's a weird musical kind of break. I thought a lot of the performances were really good. I thought Colman Domingo was really good as the lead kind of bastard guy, and Taraji P Henson as well. When she came in, she was like a strong powerhouse. I think out of all of them, I think Danielle Brooks's nomination for Best Supporting Actress is widely deserved. I thought she was incredible. Like her range of emotions and what her character goes through, she is really unbelievable. From the start, obviously, the kind of more almost happy-go-lucky kind of thing, and again, quite a powerful sort of like person when she's like taking control of like the building of the house and stuff. And I thought that was really well done. But then yeah, when she goes through the hardship of obviously being put in jail and things like that, like to see her absolutely despondent after that is so moving. I thought she was absolutely wonderful, and again the songs and because I believe I believe she was in the Broadway production. I think of
Yeah, she played Sophia in the Broadway.
yeah. So obviously having been in
She won a
that, and
Tony
then,
for it, I think.
oh, did she? Wow, okay. Because I only known her from Peacemaker. But
All right,
like,
okay.
yeah, like seeing her, and obviously she knows the character well and knows the story well. I thought she was absolutely phenomenal. Collie?
Yeah, just an overall thing of the film. I enjoyed the film overall. It was, I guess, being obviously based on a musical that was from a book that was from a film. It's fine, and it's probably very loyal to the musical. I just feel like some of the topics that were being discussed and portrayed in the film were very heavy,
Mm.
and then like there was just sometimes I felt the music didn't really match the tone of what had just happened or whatever. It didn't take me out of it per se. It was just a bit of a tonal kind of slight offset to me, perhaps. But overall, I thought it was good. I thought the performances, like top to bottom, were really good. We'll talk a little bit more on the lead performance tomorrow when we talk about Best Actress. But yeah, in terms of Danielle Brooks, so it was Orange is the New Black is what I know her most from. Obviously, I know that she's in Peacemaker and stuff, but she's in Orange is the New Black, and she's a very strong-willed, like just the performance of Sophia here really reminded me of that, and why I think she fit the role perfectly. The jail sequences were really heartbreaking when she was like, "Don't leave me" and stuff like that. That was really hard to watch. But the sequence I think that made me enjoyed the most that she did was when she goes to talk to Common Domingo early on about the fact that her and her son are like together or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, I'm just came here out of respect, but she like pronounces respect in like 3 or 4 syllables or whatever. And like obviously Common Domingo's character is just like outraged at being spoken to by like that by a woman, but and then like the standout scene in the film is when they're all around the dining table, and then the women start standing up for themselves essentially, and Celie leaves, and says like, I'm not need you don't need I don't need you anymore and all that kind of stuff, like just powerful stuff. And then obviously Sophia's left behind in that, but she's just out of jail, but she doesn't shirk from being like, you're all going to listen to me now kind of thing. I thought well deserving nomination and up there with some of the other people in this category for sure. Todd, anything to add?
No, I think the conversation like quite early on with Colin Domingo's character was fantastic. I think she wears her emotions on her sleeve and wears the and does it well. Nothing feels over the top other than when it's the musical moment, which I'm with you on the sort of the subject matter and the musical. I think there's certain ones that do it well, like I know Rent and Tick Tick Boom were written by the same guy, but they handle that really well. There's like a really good tonal shift, and I feel like here some of the music came out of just was a bit out of pocket at times, but yeah, I think performance wise, Danielle Brooks was phenomenal. Like you say, really deserving to be up here in a film that was good. I think like 3.5 stars. Like it won't be one I'll watch again, but she really stood out. So nothing I can really add to what you two have said, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Good.
Perfect. Okay, next on the list of best supporting actress is America Ferrera for Barbie. So with Barbie, Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colourful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. Now, again, I know we'll talk more about Barbie probably tomorrow. Really, is more like a general sort of thing. So in terms of obviously America Ferrera, then, what were thoughts for the? Was it Todd starting? Was it Collie?
No, it's me. I think.
Oh, sorry,
It's me.
Go for it, Collie.
So yeah, I thought she was excellent in Barbie. Like really good cast overall. Like we said, but we'll talk a little bit more about it next category, and then we'll talk about the film in general tomorrow. But yeah, I thought she held her own. Her and her daughter's interactions I thought were really good, and their relationship dynamic was really good. Going from obviously like a splintered relationship to mending it later on was class. I guess the standout bit to talk about is her massive monologue to the other Barbies in Barbie World, which is, I think like that in itself gained her this nomination. I think she's worthy of this nomination. Just a really strong actress. I think like always puts in a good performance. Superstore is the only thing that I've really seen that she was in prior to this. I never watched Ugly Betty, which I know she's probably maybe best known for prior to this, but yeah, I just thought, again, we'll talk more about the overarching kind of themes of Barbie and that tomorrow, but I think she perfectly played the kind of voice of the message, I guess it's probably the best way to put it, of the overall film. But yeah, even just like all the conversations between her and her daughter in the car and that, and you can tell that her daughter's obviously not like unhappy or whatever, but she's angry at the world, so to speak, and then that's obviously came off as a harsh relationship with her mum, because that shift in the film where like you don't know who's like, if you think it's actually a young America Ferrera in the sequences perhaps because she's not shown to be the mum, and then down the line you obviously see that, oh no, that's actually her daughter, and it was her that was playing with the Barbie that and projected all these insecure feelings, I guess, that Margot Robbie then portrays as a stereotypical Barbie. But no, I thought she was great. Just overall, nothing really like standout apart from that monologue, perhaps. But just a solid performance and was worthy of being nominated, I would say. Mm-hmm. Todd, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was a good performance overall. I think the dynamic between her and her daughter was good. The monologue was fantastic. The monologue was a really it could have been delivered, and it could have been a sort of like, I don't know, it could have been very sort of bland and basic, or it could have gone the other way and gone really over the top. She found that middle ground really well. Middle ground being a good thing, sorry, like not average, like not trying to be too over the top or too subtle. I'm surprised. I was surprised to see her in there, to be honest. I think there are other performances, like whether they be in a little bit more obscure films or something, I don't know. And I think, like I say, we will get into it, but I just think for her to be nominated and then others in the film not be is a bit of a shock, a bit of a surprise. And maybe it is that monologue going down that sort of the old school Oscar route of like, he is the big standout moment that she's going to get nominated for. Like I say, great performance, really enjoyed it. I don't know if the thing is, looking at it now, I think there's like before we talked about, there's like a 3 and a 2, and I think she's in the 2 for me. Like 3 people who really stood out, and then 2 below.
Fair enough.
Massive.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as yourself. I thought the nomination was a shock. I don't think it's undeserving though. I do think that she was she was really good. But I do think that I certainly agree with both of you that I think the monologue was probably the part that, or the thing that tipped her over the edge in terms of getting the Oscar nomination, which is absolutely fine. I think she's deserving for it. I'm not against the nod at all. But I do think it is a little bit overshadowed by the people that weren't nominated, which is a shame, which is an absolute shame, because it shouldn't be about that. It shouldn't be comparisons for that. I think her performance was really good. Again, do I think she'll win it? Probably not. We'll get into that, but I think it's a well worthy nomination. In my eyes, yeah. Anything else about America Ferrera you guys want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
No, cool. Okay, so the next one in the Best Supporting Actress is Jodie Foster for Naiad. So 3 decades after giving up marathon swimming in exchange for a prominent career as a sports journalist, at the age of 60, Diana Naiad becomes obsessed with competing in an epic swim that always eluded her, the 110-mile trek from Cuba to Florida, often referred to as the Mount Everest of swims. So Jodie Foster in Naiad, or the film, I suppose, as a whole, potentially. I keep losing track. Todd? Or is it?
I'll start. Yeah, I think so. In the three and the two, she's in the two. I think it was Jodie Foster being Jodie Foster. I think she was good. Again, it was a serviceable performance, and maybe that's because again, I know we'll get into it a little bit more tomorrow, but the film itself didn't really buzz me in any way, shape, or form. I think she was probably the best bit about it, her and Rhys Ifans. But yeah, it was fine. It was good. I've seen it before. I've seen that coach, reluctant to support this driven to the point of madness individual. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can see where people would really enjoy it, but for me, I can't really speak anything on it because I can't see it being anything other than just an okay performance that I've seen done better by other people. There's no real. I think probably the standout moment is after one of the multitudes of swim attempts that she does, where like Jodie Foster's like, "That's it, I'm done," and tries to sort of separate herself from her. That was good. And the other bit where she's like shouting at her in the swimming pool prior to the first swim, where she's accepting that coach role and kind of enjoying it. I was like, all right, I can see this being a little bit more than what I expected, and it wasn't. But I thought, like I said, she did a fine job. I don't where I can see America Ferrera that being an Oscar nominated performance. I don't think this was an Oscar. I don't think this was an Oscar worthy performance at all.
Fair enough. Collie?
Massey?
Oh.
Collie?
Yeah, Collie.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought the film was okay. Just to talk briefly about the film, I know we'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow. Hopefully not much. I thought the film was okay, and then subsequently, when you read up on the fact that like quite a lot of it was potentially not true, that kind of cheapens it a lot to me. I think I gave this a 3 out of 5 originally. Definitely won't be keeping it at that. I'll definitely have to change that at some point. Jodie Foster, like you say, Todd, was being Jodie Foster. Probably the best thing in it, but that doesn't say much. Not a worthy supporting actress nomination, in my opinion. Zero chance of winning it, that's for sure. Yeah, just the whole film, like, again, was fine, but it just felt a bit phoned in. The only thing that really like intrigued me about the film was the story itself, and then to find out subsequently that that's not perhaps true has kind of soured me quite a lot on this, probably. So yeah, I don't have too much to say, to be honest. Like I say, enjoyed it at the time, like to a certain extent, but yeah, definitely not a fan of it moving forward. Film I'll never probably watch again.
Yeah, fair enough. I can't disagree. I think, like you, I read it up afterwards. I'm one of those that likes to like read up about stories, like either while I'm watching them or afterwards, and hearing that a lot of it could have potentially been maybe exaggerated or like or not quite what it seems is disappointing, actually, and it kind of takes away from the film for me. it's very Oscar baity, and it's worked. They've got two nods for it. But yeah, I don't think there's. I don't think it's worth a potential worthy nod. Again, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but neither of them. I don't think it was really worth a supporting actress. I would have to think about who potentially I would have wanted instead or thought was more deserving, but certainly it was one of those films where I don't think I'll ever watch again. Yeah, it was okay. It was fine, but nothing blew me away about it. Even the acting performances, it didn't really blow me away, to be perfectly honest. Um, but yeah, it's tough because I don't really know what more to say about it because it was quite a disappointing watch knowing that it was nominated for these categories and the things didn't blow me away. It kind of just it's almost just there, isn't it? Like for me. But yeah, that's sort of all I can say about Nyad. Any other thoughts, you guys? You think? I feel bad because I've not really covered it much, but I don't know if I can. Sort of like.
Sorry, I've checked Letterbox. Unless you haven't dinged it. May December. Did you hear about that?
I
With,
heard about it.
Natalie
Yeah,
Portman,
I
Julianne
thought it was
Moore.
apparently Charles Melton maybe was meant to have gotten a nod or something, and
Mhm.
was potentially
I'd have put
Julianne Moore or
I'd put Julianne Moore
right.
in here above her, absolutely, like by some stretch as well. Just when you were saying I don't know who you'd, that would be my probably just like having a quick look through eligible films.
Yeah,
She would be mine. Anyway, sorry, we'll
fair.
move on to.
No, that's fine. Yeah, so we'll go on to the next one and the final one in the best supporting actress, and it is Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. So, a curmudgeonly instructor at a New England prep school remains on campus during Christmas break to babysit a handful of students with nowhere to go. He soon forms an unlikely bond with a brainy but damaged troublemaker and with the school's head cook, a woman who just lost her son in the Vietnam War. So, Collier, wasn't you? I think.
I started on Naiad, like so, but I'll do hold
Did
on.
you? Oh, sorry, I totally lost it. Go for it.
I mean, I won't say too much about the film because we're going to discuss it a lot tomorrow. But thoroughly enjoyed her performance. Obviously, one of the standout scenes is obviously the party when she's despondent after having a couple of drinks and stuff and getting upset about her son. But she's just kind of like a constant vein throughout the film of just motherly care, whether that's actually for Paul Giamatti or any of the other cast as well, and the boys, because obviously like she's a chef or she's a cook or whatever for the cafeteria manager during the film, so she cares about enough about the boys. But her and Giamatti's relationship is quite not motherly per se, a little bit to him, because again we'll analyse his character a bit more tomorrow, but he needs that little bit of care and attention and kind of steering. And yeah, just an all round powerful performance. Like I say, the party sequence was really good, but even just like the little conversations that they have when they're around watching the TV, when she's explaining to him, I can't remember the TV show that they watch.
Is it like Jeopardy or something, isn't it? Or
something like that. She explains it to him, and then he's like, "Oh, okay," and then he sits down and they watch it together. Even just like that little interaction was fun. But yeah, just one of those performances that's very, very like understated. There's no like big bombastic monologue like America Ferrera and Barbie or anything like that. There's no standout kind of like look like Emily Blunt and Oppenheimer with a handshake and stuff like that. She's just solid all the way throughout and just elevates the film, I think, in terms of like really good ensemble cast across the board here, and again a worthy nomination, I think. She's up there with the rest of them. I'll leave my predictions obviously until we finish discussing this one, but yeah, like I really enjoyed her performance, and I hope to see her in more. I'm not too familiar with much else that she's done that I recognised.
No.
But yeah, moving forward, really looking forward to seeing what she brings to it. What about either you, Todd?
Yeah, I thought she was superb. Like, this is why I said I don't want to keep using the word measured, and I'd used it a couple of times, but it's the only word I can think of because it wasn't like subtle, because that implies that she's quiet the whole way through or whatever. Because like you say, the party scene, I felt for her, but I just think like you see people portray the different stages of grief and things, and I thought it wasn't your paint by numbers typical depiction of grief, and that she could then put what she missed onto, in particular Paul Giamatti and the lad who has to stay behind. Like, you can feel that she loves doing that, but that she also struggles with it because it's not her son. And at no point does she really like verbalize that entire thing, but you see it and you feel it. And I think her pushing Paul Giamatti to be a little bit more sort of outgoing, and you got that through a performance. And I thought she was incredible. I think she's unlucky to be nominated in the same year as others. Let's just say for now, before we get to the predictions, because I do think it wasn't, like you say, the big moment, the big sort of like standout moment. But I think in terms of a performance, there are a few better who, like, again, could have taken this either way, and she absolutely nailed it. Like, I thought she was phenomenal. Massey?
Yeah, I thought her performance completely matched the tone of the film. I think it was such a good because Cole used the word understated. It was an understated film as well in terms of how it kind of went through. And I thought she was a phenomenal anchor. Again, obviously we'll talk about the other performances tomorrow and stuff. But yeah, I thought that I thought her performance was really, really good, really strong. Almost quite natural as well. And brought obviously a heap of emotion to it as well. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I thought her performance was really, really good, really strong. I'm the same as you guys. I don't really notice her. Although I've seen on Letterboxd, I had a look, and like I've seen her in 3 films, like this year, but I don't know which ones. But I obviously know her.
She was in Puss in Boots, and she was in Rustin.
Oh, it was Rustin then. Probably was one of them. Rustin, and then there was something else.
You would have watched Puss in Boots in the last, or do you mean this year?
It was from this year, yeah. It was from this year, but I don't know. I think it might have been an animated film. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I thought her performance was really good. Oh no, it's The Lost City. Sorry, The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum.
I've not seen that.
It's good. It's good fun. But yeah, I thought she was wonderful. I thought she was wonderful in the holdovers. There's not too much more to say because again, it was such a kind of performance in that, as I say, it matched the sort of understated tone of the film, and yeah, I thought it was super strong. Okay, so thoughts on who we want to win and who we think will win in the Best Supporting Actress. Collie, we'll go yourself first of all.
I want Emily Blunt to win, but I think Divine Joy Randolph will win.
Todd?
Emily Blunt for both. I think she'll win it, and I want her to win it.
Okay, I'm a mix of both these actually. I think and want Divine Joy Randolph to win. Again, that's not putting off of Emily Blunt's performance, but I just think that
I think this is one of the categories that Oppenheimer won't win in. So that's them already down to the need to win 12. And then when you look at the other ones that it's nominated for, just because we're on this, it's nominated for Best Costume Design. I don't think it'll win that, even though it's really solid. Best Makeup and Hairstyling, don't think it'll win that. So then it's down to 10 already, so it's probably not going to hit that 11 number.
Yeah. Perfect.
We'll run through all that tomorrow when we're talking about the film, like in the Best Picture, but
yeah. Okay, guys, so apologies. This episode has run maybe a little bit longer than we expected. I think it's because Collie wanted to talk about the Worst Picture in more detail. So what we're going to do is we are going to leave it there. My thing was going funny there. It was going funny. It's fine. So yeah, we're going to leave it there for just now, and we'll pick up tomorrow where we will start off with Best Supporting Actor, and then we'll talk about Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Director, and the Best Picture. So that will be part 2 of our Oscar special. Yeah, we will be talking about some good stuff tomorrow, which is probably going to be a lot better for some certain people. But guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Of course, listen to the next episode, part 2, which will be out on the Wednesday. If you're watching this on the Monday when it comes out. And of course, let us know what you think. Go to Twitter at LCD_pod. Let us know your thoughts. And yeah, we will see you all in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone.